international web conference organized by Ayurveda College Coimbatore and powered by DIKSHA E-Learning. With this setting sun, we have come to an end of SAMSIDDHI 2021 as well. The past few weeks have been incredibly informative journey with amazing speakers from all around the world coming together with their immense knowledge and sharing them with us. SAMSIDDHI was first started back in 2016 under the able guidance of Dr. Raghuram Batsa, and later the torch was passed on to late Dr. Sudhiraj N. Sir, and now to Dr. Chandramouli Sir. To make this evening even more special, we have great Vaidyas and doctors of Ayurvedic fraternity here with us.
To mark an auspicious beginning, let us start today's session by prayer. For prayer, I would like to invite Vinata. Over to you, Vinata.
Namami Dhanvantari Adidevam Surasurairvantita Padapatmam Logeshwararubhaya Mrityunasham Dhataramesham Vividhaushathiram Kshirabdheruthitam Devam Pitavarnam Chaturbhujam Namami Dhanvantarim Nityam Nanagata Nishodhanam Nanagata Nishodhanam.
Thank you, Vinata. Now, to render the welcome address, I would like to invite Professor Nagarani Ma'am. Professor Nagarani Ma'am did her BPT from Government Institute of Rehab Medicine, Chennai, DPT from Madras Medical College, University of Madras. Ma'am also holds a PhD in physiotherapy in 2013. She is also the recipient of Best Teacher Award for the year 2011 by Tamil Nadu, Dr. MGR Medical University, and also the recipient of Physiotherapist Award for the year 2012 by Tamil Nadu, Dr. MGR Medical University. Currently, ma'am is a secretary at RVS Group of Institute. Over to you, ma'am.
Ma'am, can you please unmute yourself? Hello, ma'am. Hello, ma'am.
Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am. Now it is audible, ma'am.
Okay. It's my great pleasure and it's an honor to associate with you, all the stalwarts of Ayurveda, in this delightful evening. There is no wealth like knowledge and no poverty like ignorance. With this beautiful quote of Lord Buddha, I welcome everyone in this beautiful evening, behalf of the management, to this valedictory function. Myself, Professor Nagarani, Secretary, Institute of Health Sciences, Coimbatore, extend a very, very warm welcome to all the invited guests, dignitaries, eminent speakers all over the world, and all the participants from different prestigious colleges across India. SAMSIDDHI, the series of seminars, was started in 2016 under the guidance of former principal of Ayurveda College, Dr. Raghuram Bhatt. The spark of the knowledge is still continuing. We are proud to have you, sir. Over the last 20 days, we had deep insights into several topics of Ayurveda, over which several eminent speakers have showered their treasure of knowledge. It gives me great pleasure to welcome our chief guest, Srimati Veena Judge, Minister for Health and Family Welfare, Government of Kerala. Welcome, ma'am. It's my honor to welcome Dr. Anup Thakur, MD Ayurveda, PhD, Director of GAV, IPGT and RA, Jamnagar, Gujarat. I welcome you, sir. My heart fills with joy to welcome Dr. Raghuram Bhatt, MD Ayurveda President, Medical Assessment and Rating Board, Indian System of Medicine, New Delhi. I welcome you, sir. Warm welcome to you again. It's fortunate to welcome Dr. Narasimha Prasanna Rao, MS Ayurveda, PhD, Principal, SDM College of Ayurveda, Hassan, Karnataka. Welcome you, sir. My heartening welcome to Dr. Raju Thomas, State President, Kerala, Ayurveda Medical Association of India. I welcome you, sir. I'm overwhelmed with joy to welcome Dr. Ram Mohan, Sir, MD, Research Director, Amrita School of Ayurveda and Amrita Center for Advanced Research in Ayurveda, Kollam, Kerala. I welcome you, sir. I again welcome one and all the participants who are the nucleus of this event. I would extend my thanks and appreciation to our principal, Dr. Chandramouli, Dr. Tulya, faculties, students, internees, entire team of DIKSHA E-Learning who have done the groundwork to make this event a fruitful one. Thank you and welcome one and all. Thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am. Now, it is a very special moment for SAMSIDDHI. To deliver the inaugural address, it is my honor to invite Srimati Veena George, ma'am. Srimati Veena George is the current Minister for Health and Family Welfare in the Government of Kerala. She is elected from the Aramura constituency to the Kerala Legislative Assembly. Born in Trivandrum in the year 1976, she pursued physics for graduation and post-graduation from Government College for Women, Tiruvandhuram, and completed her B.Ed as a University of Kerala rank holder. She had taught physics at Catholicate College, Pathanamthitta for 1 year before taking up journalism as a career choice. She joined Kairali TV as a journalist trainee and had a 16-year-old successful career with prominent Malayalam news channels. In 2015, she took up charge as the executive editor for the Malayalam news channel TV New and became the first woman to do so. She was the Students' Federation of India activist in her college days. She contested elections for the first time when the CPIM fleeted her from the INC held Aramura seat in 2016 assembly polls. On 21st, she took charge as the Minister of Health and Family Welfare as the successor of the renowned CPIM leader, Dr. K.K. Shailaja ma'am. Due to the current ongoing Nipah virus crisis in Kerala, ma'am has not been able to join us in person, but she has sent us her wishes through a video message, which will be displayed now.
Good evening, everyone. It's a great honor to be invited as a chief guest to the valedictory function of SAMSIDDHI 2021, an international seminar on the topic Ayurveda Decoded, organized by Ayurveda College, Coimbatore. Ayurveda is a holistic science whose roots have originated from our motherland. Ayurveda has gained its importance globally. Even during these tough times of COVID, Ayurveda has paved its way in showing us its preventing and health promoting effects. A special congratulations to Ayurveda College, Coimbatore for organizing and conducting such a huge web conference with over 45 eminent speakers from all over the globe. The topic of selection, Ayurveda Decoded, is very apt, which helps in understanding the core of Ayurveda. It gives me immense joy to know that the young and emerging doctors from Ayurveda College, Coimbatore, have come up with this great idea and organized such a huge event and have made a grand success. Once again, congratulating all of you. I'd like to extend my special congratulations to the DIKSHA E-Learning, which is an emerging digital platform for the propagation of Ayurveda globally. I once again thank the organizers for inviting me to this event, and I am just concluding my words by officially inaugurating the valedictory function. Looking forward to see you all in more such events. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for those wonderful words. Now, to deliver the presidential address, I would like to invite our chief guest, Dr. Anup Thakur, sir. Dr. Anup Kumar Thakur, sir, did his BAMS, MD, and PhD from Gujarat Ayurveda University, Jamnagar, and his subjects of specialization are Panchakarma, Kaya Chikitsa, Rasayana, and Vajigarana. Sir has a total of 21 years of teaching experience and research experience. WHO, these are the major projects completed by Sir. WHO APW project on preparation of a manual on simple Ayurvedic herbal formulations for common ailments. WHO APW project on the development of recruitment rules for Ayush personnel. Identification of genomic correlates of Prakriti in healthy individuals in West Indian population of Gujarat project in collaboration with CSIR, IGIB, Ayurgenomics unit, worked as a principal investigator, awarded WHO Fellowship on Information, Education and Communication in Public Health at Ministry of Public Health, Thailand in November 2009, and also awarded the Fellowship of National Academic of Ayurveda 6th March 2020. Sir has published model recruitment and promotional rules for Ayush personnel published under WHO APW project. Sir has published more than 100 papers in various national and international proceedings, delivered more than 100 lectures in various topics on Ayurveda as keynote speeches in various national and international seminars, workshops, and training programs as invited speaker. Sir is currently working as the Director, Institute of Teaching and Research in Ayurveda, Jamnagar. It's a great honor to have you here, sir. Now, without any further ado, let me hand over to Sir. Over to you, sir.
Thank you for a very nice and elaborative introduction. Today's chief guest, Srimati Veena George, Honorable Minister for Health and Family Welfare, Government of Kerala. Keynote address, Dr. Raghuram Bhatt, President, Medical Assessment and Rating Board, NCISM, New Delhi. Special guest of honor, Dr. Prasanna Rao, Principal, SDM College, Hassan. Dr. Raju Thomas, State President, Ayurveda Medical Association of India, Kerala. Today's speaker, my friend here, Dr. Ram Manoharji, and Principal, Dr. Chandra Mauleshwaranji, Dr. Tulyaji, and Professor Nagarani, Secretary IHS, RVS Group of Institution, Coimbatore. I am very happy to be here. Actually, this great event, at the end of this great event, at summing of this great event, I have came to know that this SAMSIDDHI, this is the second big event of the SAMSIDDHI 2021. And it was started on the August 15th, and for 21 days, today is the 21st day. And in these days, there were 41 sessions and 45 speakers, more than 100 plus lectures and more than 5,000 participants throughout the globe. These numbers are, really mesmerizing and huge number. It's impressive. And in last few years, I think this big number, particularly when this online webinar has been started, I think nobody might have achieved. And I really congratulate the organizers for this great event. And particularly the subject of the event, Decoding of Ayurveda, was also really thoughtful subject. Now the world is looking forward towards Ayurveda and taking very keen interest and looking very minutely towards the development of the Ayurveda. And it's a high time to polish our research, to our teaching skills and all these things, and revive our fraternity, researchers, teachers and all that, and make them competent and who can take up the Ayurveda to the new level. We have to be ready, and for this, to make them aware, to bring them out, to outshine them. This kind of seminars this kind of conferences will play a big role. It will create awareness among the scholars of the Ayurveda, because many cream students, scholars are coming nowadays to Ayurveda. Onus is on us that we prepare them, we inspire them, we make a spark in them, and they will do wonders to the wonderful science of Ayurveda. Actually, Ayurveda is we all know it's a miraculous science, but it need to be put in the front of the world in a proper manner, the manner, the language world understand, and that is our responsibility. And I think seminar or webinar like this, Samsiddhi, can do a role very well in this kind of situation. By seeing this number, actually, I feel that it is a matter of pleasure, great pleasure for me to be over here in the valedictory function. In the COVID situation and now the Nipah situation in Kerala, Ayurveda has thrown a ray of hope to the scientific fraternity, because viruses and bacteria are, and numbers of bacteria and viruses are there, and how far you will go to counting them and then finding out the defense for them. Actually, Ayurveda has given, has already, there is a solution in Ayurveda, and that's why Ayurveda principles are forever. It is not for one bacteria or one virus or one disease or one epidemic. It is applicable anywhere, any situation, anytime, any kind of bacteria or virus, and that's the beauty of Ayurveda. And now world has started to understand this thing. In COVID situation, still I believe that even though India is having this much population and dense population, and even after the second wave of the COVID, India didn't face that much casualty or death. Of course, it was a massive, but in comparison to population and density of India, it was really well controlled, I would like to say. And that was thanks to Ayurveda, because, the immunity of the people, management of their health through Ayurveda, and as a add-on therapy, Ayurveda. Even in many places, it was not even add-on. Actually, it was a main therapy. In Gujarat, we have many success story. Our two hospitals were COVID care center, and more than 900 patients we have treated in this COVID care center, and none of the patient turned in serious condition. And some of our faculties, some of our students got infected, but none of them face any serious condition or grave conditions, and everybody came out hale and hearty, and that is thanks to principles of the Ayurveda. So till date, we were believing that Ayurveda is for only non-communicable diseases, but this corona has shown us a path that no, in the communicable diseases also Ayurveda can do wonders. So friends, onus is on us, and through a webinar like Samsiddhi, this message will reach at every corner of the world, and it is a time to brush up ourselves, to wake up ourselves, to come forward for the cause of the Ayurveda and show the strength of Ayurveda to the world, so Ayurveda can serve the global humanity, ailing humanity, and it can come at the rescue of the globe as far as the health is concerned, and the lifestyle is concerned, the prevention of health is concerned. So again, I congratulate the organizers for organizing this big event, and DIKSHA forum for facilitating all this thing and make it possible. So thank you very much also for inviting me and giving me opportunity to share my views with the learned audience and the speakers and the guest of today's function. Thank you again. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for those inspiring words. And now, to render the keynote address, I would like to invite Dr. Raghuram Bhatt, sir. Sir completed his BA-MS from Bharatiyar University, Coimbatore, and MD in Dravya Guna from the prestigious Gujarat Ayurveda University, Jamnagar. Sir is currently working as the President, Medical Assessment and Rating Board, Indian System of Medicine, NCISM, New Delhi. Sir has a total experience of 16 years as a teacher and 6 years as a principal. Sir was also the former principal of Ayurveda College, Coimbatore for 3 years. Sir has published a set of 4 books, and Sir is appointed as the guide and mentor for the project Ayurveda Samskritam, promoted by Samskritam Promotion Foundation, New Delhi. He was awarded with Atreya Award by Sairam Group of Institutions, Chennai, for the achievement in the field of Ayurveda education. It is my great honor to have you, sir. Now, I would like to hand over the session for the keynote address. Over to you, sir.
शङ्खं चक्रं जलौकां दधतममृतघटं चारुदोर्भिश्चतुर्भिः सूक्ष्मस्वच्छातिहृत्यां शुकपरिविलसन् मौलिमम्भोजनेत्रम् कालाम्भोदोज्ज्वलाङ्गं कटितटविलसच्चारुपीताम्बराढ्यं वन्दे धन्वन्तरिं तं निखिलगदवनप्रौढदावाग्निलीलम् सदाशिवसमारम्भां वाग्भटाचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्. Respected chief guests, Srimati Veena, respected Director, Gujarat Ayurveda University, that's ITRA, respected Prasanna Rao sir, Principal, SDM Ayurveda College, Hassan, respected Ram Manohar sir, respected Dr. Raju Thomas, Dr. Chandramoulishwaran, and Dr. Tulya, and also others who are listening here in this valedictory function of 4th SAMSIDDHI. 2 SAMSIDDHIs were conducted offline. After that, after a gap of almost 3 years, again it was conducted on 2020. Of course, you can say 4 years gap. The SAMSIDDHI seminar was started in 2015. I have joined in Coimbatore Ayurveda College as principal in 2015 March. It was Sri Krishna Kumarji who has ordered me to conduct seminar through our managing trustee, that is Mr. Senthil Ganesh sir, and also with the support of the present Secretary of Institute of Health Sciences, Dr. Nagarani Madam, we could conduct the seminar Samsuddhi, start this seminar successfully, and we have conducted it with all the help and support of the teachers and students of Ayurveda College, Coimbatore. And we thought to, or we have laid a beginning to again develop this Ayurveda College, Coimbatore, which had a great tradition in teaching Ayurveda and where the great stalwarts like Dr. Muralidharan, Dr. Shashidharan, Dr. P.H. Simurthy, or even other stalwarts who were there before me joining in Coimbatore as a student in 1986. I joined in Coimbatore College as a student in 1986, and I studied there till 1994, and later on again I have joined as principal in 2015 and worked there for 3 years as principal. So it was a privilege to me to work in my own alma mater and do something for the development of that college. In that, the significant one was the SAMSIDDHI. We have invited Dr. Gopakumar, Dr. Ramanohar, and such eminent speakers there. And it was a very successful seminar. And at the end, Dr. Ramanohar sir explained the theme which we have thought, the name also, which was given as SAMSIDDHI. It was selected from the shloka from Sushruta Samhita, where the shloka says, Vaksaushthave arthavijnane pragalbhye karmanai pune tadabhyase cha siddhau cha yateta adhyanantagaha, it's told. One who wants to excel or to go till the end of the study of Ayurveda should work on 4 points. That's Vaksaustava, especially command on Sanskrit language. Artha Vijnana, deep understanding of the treatises or texts with its deeper meanings. And Pragalbhya, that is skillfulness. Then Siddhi, Tadabhyase, Karma Naipuna. Karma Naipunya means in the practicing or experiencing the treatment procedures. And continuous practice of these 4 will lead to success. That was the theme which was taken, and some was added to that. So it has become Samyak Siddhi Samsiddhi. So all these seminars were conducted to attain success in the treatment aspect of, or the success in the profession of Ayurveda. Next year also we could conduct it even bigger manner. Even other speakers like Dr. Mahadevan, L. Mahadevan, Dr. Srinivas Acharya, and such other eminent speakers were called. And that was also a very successful seminar. We had paper presentation also in the second one. Later on, we couldn't conduct it regularly. The next, those who took charge also couldn't conduct because of various reasons. But in 2020, when the opportunity was given to conduct it through virtually, it was Dr. Sudhir who has again started it. And I'm very happy that the next principal, Dr. Chandramouli, and vice principal, Dr. Tulya, are continuing that SAMSIDDHI seminar series in a big manner and great manner with a great enthusiasm. I am participating in this program not as a representative of National Commission of Indian System of Medicine or president of Medical Assessment and Rating Board, but I am participating here as an alumnus of Coimbatore Ayurveda College and former principal of Coimbatore Ayurveda College. So it is my own college. I own it. It's great honor to be there with my alma mater always. That's why I am here. And regarding the seminar, regarding this, whatever is conducted, this seminar should continue and it should be there everywhere, either online or offline. Next, when COVID situation eases, it should come again to offline, because conducting the seminars offline is always superior to virtual seminars. and year by year, the Coimbatore Ayurveda College should flourish. I have a great expectation towards the leaders of this college as well as the management. Especially, I request the Secretary of Institute of Health Sciences, Dr. Nagarani Madam, to support all the principal, vice principal, and teachers, faculties of this institution, and guide them to develop it into an ideal institution. The past glory of Ayurveda College Coimbatore should once again come into force, and it should become the best college in India. That's what is we hope, we expect. I hope with the able leadership of Dr. Senthil Ganesh sir and Sri Kuppuswamiji and Dr. Nagarani Madam and the principal and vice principal, also with the guidance of Dr. Ram Manohar and other many such eminent people in Ayurveda who are the alumni of this college, and with the guidance of them, it's possible to develop this institution into a ideal institution, and that should be the aim of each and every one. When we will be able to do that, it will be an example for all the Ayurveda colleges where a traditional Ayurvedic educational system was existing, and that is being developed here. One thing I would like to tell here, that Ayurveda College Coimbatore started with the Gurukula system of education, where all the students were staying in the college itself. It was a residential college in Mangarai, where no external world was reachable. Everyone was there below the mountains, and beautiful mountains and beautiful place where no outer world disturbance was there, and there was a serene atmosphere for study, and such a beautiful environment was there where we studied, and along with the gurus we could discuss even after the classes at night while having food whenever we want, and also we had that Ayurvedic living style also. It is the demand from many people who have studied here or who have known about the success of this type of study, that this Gurukula system should once again be revived. It was a dream of Sri Krishna Kumarji also. Before his demise, he has convened one meeting also regarding that, and with the blessings of Krishna Kumarji, I hope we will be able to once again bring that system into force. Maybe the plan is going on. We have already included that in the NCISM Act. It is mentioned that pre-Ayurveda is mentioned in NCISM Act. We will be mentioned that in MSc, that is minimum standard of education also, the forthcoming which is there. And also we will be elaborating pre-Ayurveda, how it should be conducted and how it will be pre-Ayurveda, and after that the BAMS course will also be defined later on. Once it is defined, maybe some ideal or model colleges will be developed, at least in each zone of India. 5 zones are there. So in each zone, we will be starting such colleges. Those who want to take this plan into their institutions or their trusts or managements or societies, they are really welcome, and it will take a little more time to frame the structure of that, and we will be hoping that we will be able to do that in consultation with the Ayurvedic people, Ayurvedic stalwarts, so that model Ayurveda education based upon Indian system or Indian educational standards. That's ancient Indian educational standards may be planned and may be implemented. That's what we are planning. And with this, I wish all the best for the organizers and to continue this program for more years together, and wish all the best and thank all the organizers, management and the staff for giving me an opportunity here to be with you and spend a little time with you and listen to the stalwarts of Ayurveda. Thank you one and all for the opportunity. Namaste.
Thank you, sir, for those inspiring words. So I would like to invite Dr. Raghuram Bhatt sir once again for announcing the winners of our SAMSIDDHI paper and poster presentation competition. Over to you, sir.
Please give me a
Yes, sir.
minute.
Yes, sir. No problems.
I'm very happy to announce the results of paper presentation. The third prize goes to Dr. Geetika Kayan from Amrita School of Ayurveda, Amritapuri, Kerala. Second prize goes to Vaidya Chaitrali Golatkar, student of KLE Sri BM Kankanwadi Ayurveda Mahavidyalaya and Research Center, Belagavi. And first prize goes to Dr. Dhanvantari Gorakhnath Saste from Government Ayurveda Medical College and Hospital, Mysuru. Congratulations to all. I also would be happy to announce the results of poster presentation. Third prize goes to Dr. Anuj Kumar Singh from Swami Ayurvedic Medical College and District Kara. And first prize goes to our Aishwarya Lakshmi Ayurveda College, Coimbatore. Congratulations to all the winners once again. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Now, to speak a few words, I would like to invite a special guest of honor, Dr. Prasanna Narasimha Rao, sir. Dr. Prasanna Narasimha Rao, sir, in his distinguished career, has been constantly involved in bettering the healthcare of the society in various positions and responsibilities. He is presently working as Principal and Chief Medical Officer, STM College of Ayurveda and Hospital, Karnataka. He was Medical Superintendent for 27 years at STM Ayurveda Hospital, Hassan. He is a member of Central Council of Indian Medicine, member of Scientific Advisory Board, and Central Council of Research in Ayurveda Sciences, Ministry of Ayush. He has several publications in national and international indexed peer-reviewed journals and has published 70 research articles in 28 journals. He has 27 years of UG teaching experience and 24 years of PG teaching experience and 15 years of experience as a PhD guide. He was presented Dhanvantari Award, Swasthya Parishad Mysore 2005 and Ayurveda Chanakya International Academy of Ayurveda Physicians, Jamnagar, Bishak Shri Award by Sri Sri College of Ayurveda Sciences and Research, Bengaluru. It's a great honor to have you here, sir. Over to you, sir.
Ajnanam timirandasya ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलनं तेन तस्मै श्री गुरुवे नमः. My salutations to great divine force, Sri Krishna Kumar ji, the inaugurator of this valedictory program, Honorable Minister for Health and Family Welfare, Srimati Veena George, Honorable Secretary of Coimbatore Institute, Professor Nagamani Shanmugam, Honorable Vice Chancellor of Gujarat Ayurveda University, Dr. Anup Thakur sir, and the great principal of former principal and present president of the assessment and medical assessment and rating of NCASM, Dr. Raghuram Bhatt, Dr. Raju Thomas, and the principal of the institution, Dr. Chandramoulishwar, vice principal, Dr. Tulya, and my friend, Dr. Ram Manohar, the total designer of this program. My also respect to the divine soul of Dr. Sudhiraj, who is my close friend also. This event especially is very sent has a great message to all the stakeholders of Ayurveda. I should congratulate Dr. Raghuram Bhatt, who has initiated this SAMSIDDHI program way back in 2015. And I congratulate the present principal and the whole team to has continued this SAMSIDDHI program. I was also the part of the valedictory program of 2020 SAMSIDDHI. So I am really delighted. 5,000 the scholars has was the part of this great event. Ayurveda Acharya. So we are all every Ayurveda graduate are the Acharya of Ayurveda. It is said Acharate iti Acharya, who practice Ayurveda are Acharya. And today we could find a shift in the field of Ayurveda. Majority of the graduates of Ayurveda are practicing. So thank to all the teachers, and especially this SAMSIDDHI has made the Ayurveda Acharyas to practice. Usually the present people learn and earn and learn. So this learning has helped to earn their in the livelihood. So I congratulate for this contribution. It's a great investment. This contribution, right, given by the Coimbatore Ayurveda College. Abhyase prapyate drishti karma siddhi prakashini ratnadi sat asad jnanam na shastra vidiyate. Knowledge is very important. Along with the knowledge, the practice. The practice what is contributed from this SAMSIDDHI definitely helped many of the budding doctors and postgraduate to focus their ideas in their own specialty. And also listening to many stalwarts of Ayurveda, they have gained knowledge from different corners. Maybe many a time the student graduates from a particular region, particular college, but they gain the knowledge from the diseases what they treat in that area. But the conferences will help, right, to share this knowledge as well as to gain this knowledge from the across the world, the doctors who are practicing across the world. Probably that's why Sushruta has stressed on the point, Ekam Shastram Madhyano Na Shastra Nischaya Tasmat Bahushutam Jnanam Vijaniyat Bishak. So for a bishop, he has to gain the knowledge from different corners, from the different teachers. And this conference, I'm sure that it has helped. And the most creating act is the act creating ourselves. So this is also Samsiddhi is also a part of making individuals right creating themselves. So Coimbatore Ayurvedic College, you have showed them the world that you look forward, and it is a great investment what you have done on the society, strengthening them to practice Ayurveda. Government of India, I have to congratulate the Government of India, especially our Honorable Prime Minister, PM Modi, has showed whole world, right, the strength of Ayurveda. The Ministry of Ayush, the present whole team of Ayush Ministry is guiding the Ayurveda graduates, postgraduates, and stakeholders. Especially the scheme which was introduced, a champion scheme, which has helped many Ayurveda entrepreneurs to start Ayurveda startups, especially the subsidy on the interest gained by the bank, right? Which will be given by the Government of India, which has helped many Ayurveda entrepreneurs to start Ayurveda hospitals. Same way, 1818, a new training program, skill has come under the Skill India program. Skill India program to have the supportive staff as well as the enrich the graduates or the practitioners, right? So it's about 1 lakh Ayurveda persons, right, will be trained under this in this year. So it's a great initiative which has taken from the Government of India to strengthen and empower Ayurveda graduates. I stress here the graduates, so much input has been given through this Samsiddhi. Around 400 research papers has presented before us. Is a great source, a great energy for the Ayurveda professionals who are practicing. So still interdiscipline specialty connect we need to strengthen. The basic scientists or engineers or Ayush professionals, we have to connect each other. The areas like Shotomayam Idam Shariram or Manha Ekatvam Anutvancha or Prakriti, circadian oscillations, or the Swarna Prashana, or the cosmetic area. Very gray area in Ayurveda is the cosmetic area, or herbal hair dyes, and cumulative toxicity is another area where Ayurveda has a great role. The teenagers are getting suffered from hypothyroidism or PCOS problem. It is said that every 10 screening for screening of every 10 will be positive for hypothyroidism, or every 10 scans for the teenagers will be positive for PCOS. So it's alarming, and where Ayurveda has a great role to play, and probably today's lecture of Dr. Ram Manohar will help all of us to have an Ayurveda concept, Ayurveda way of management for this teen problem. And these areas, some of the areas like medical management for surgical diseases. I have, being a surgeon, I could say also the first 10 years of the surgeons, right? Surgeons, they do as much as possible surgeries, right? In all surgical conditions. Next 10 years of service, they try to select very important cases. And last 10 years of the service of a surgeon, they try to avoid surgery and find a medical management for surgery. So there's a great scope, especially in cholelithiasis, cholelithiasis, or urinary lithiasis, and the conditions like goiter, colloid goiters, where we can have medical management for surgical diseases. Another area is COVID-19, where the newer and newer species are coming in the COVID-19 viruses, say Delta plus, right, 12, 19, and AY4, 6, different changes has come in the virus structures. So immunogenicity is the area where Ayurveda has great role, like ashwagandha or giloy. This a lot of research has been multi-center study has been conducted by the Ministry of Ayush, especially CCRAS, and the outcome is really encouraging for the development of Ayurveda. So this, with a short story, I will conclude. It was in the village, right? A boy was sinking in the in a pool, right? And the people all around were crying for the saviors. And a person, right, innocent person, right, an uneducated person immediately jumped and caught this boy and brought out from the that pond. And at the same time, a person with a suit and boot, right, the tie, was standing and observing this. And the person who knows him asked him, "Hi, you are a PhD scholar in swimming, and why did you not jump on the to save this boy?" Then he said, "Yes, I am good in swim. No, the details of swimming. I can tell the height, width, and length of this pond, but no, I cannot swim." So this embarrasses an individual. The degree is immaterial. The knowledge of what we gain is very material. I'm sure all of them, this 5,000 is a very great, 5,000 people might have attended this Samsiddhi. But it's an online program, it is available always on YouTube. So lakhs of people are benefited by Samsiddhi. Once again, I congratulate the thought which has come right from Dr. Bhatt, right, who has started in 2015 and materialized now also and continuing. So I congratulate all of them, including Dr. Chandramaleshwar and Tulya and the whole team of Coimbatore Ayurveda College. And as Bhatt said, I'm also looking for the pre-Ayurveda course which has emerged from Coimbatore. Example, you have Dr. Gangadharan, Dr. Raghuram Bhatt with us, and Ram Mohanar. We have tried, I also tried when I was in the executive committee of CCM, right? We have passed unanimously, CCM passed unanimously to introduce this course. And now we have Raghuram Bhatt there. Definitely in the near future, we are looking for this pre-Ayurveda. Ayurveda should be studied in a residential environment, and that makes real Ayurveda to enlighten this world. I once again express my gratitude for the opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for that inspiring story as well. Now, to speak a few words, I would like to invite our guest and also today's speaker, Dr. Ram Manohar Sir. Vaidya P. Ram Manohar received BAMS from Bharatiya University, Coimbatore, and MD from Rajiv Gandhi University of Health Science, Bengaluru. He is presently serving as Research Director at Amrita School of Ayurveda, managed by Amrita Vishwa Vidyapeetham. He also served as the faculty in several institutions like University of Essen, Germany, Southern California University of Health Science, etc. He's the approved guide for the PhD program in Ayurveda at Amrita University. He has been contributing in the field of Ayurvedic research since last 29 years. He has to his credit about 100 publications, including research papers published in peer-reviewed indexed research journals, as well as contributions in chapters for books. He has been invited as a speaker at prestigious institutions like Harvard Medical School, National Cancer Institute, and so on. He is the research advisor for INSA, Government of India. He is the member of the Scientific Committee of National Institute of Ayurveda. He is also the WHO expert group member. He served in the COVID-19 task force of Government of Kerala and also the member of interdisciplinary Ayush R&D task force for COVID-19 constituted by the Ministry of Ayush. He was honored with the Ayurveda Marga Pravartaka Award by L. Mahadevan Sir's Ayurveda Foundation. He also received the Bharatwaj Puraskar Award by Pundotam Ayurveda Ashramam. He was the co-author and PI on the Indian side of research study on rheumatoid arthritis and won the Excellence in Integrative Medicine Research Award from the European Society of Integrative Medicine in 2012. It is a great honor to have you, sir. Over to you, sir.
Thank you. Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. I'm honored to be here. My pranams, first of all, to the chief guest, Minister for Health and Family Welfare, Srimati Veena George from Government of Kerala, the president of this function, Professor Anup Thakur, the special guest of honor, Dr. Prasanna Narasimha Rao sir. It's a pleasure to meet you again on this platform. My dear friend, Dr. Vaidya Raghuram Bhattji, very happy to see you here. Dr. Raju Thomas sir, Dr. Chandra Maulishwaran, Dr. Tulya Mohandas, Professor Nagarani, and all other distinguished guests, faculty, and students. I will not speak much because I'm going to spend some time speaking later. But at the outset, I would like to congratulate and appreciate the great effort taken by the organizers of this function, of this event, a long marathon event. It's amazing to see the faculty that they have brought in, the wide range of topics that have been represented, and also amazing participation from the Ayurvedic community. I think that organizers deserve a great round of applause and congratulations for such an effort, overcoming all the challenges during this COVID period. I think that is what we call as commitment, and this kind of commitment is needed for the future development of Ayurveda. I still remember Vaidya Raghuram Bhatt invited me for the previous SAMSIDDHI in the beginning, and it was a wonderful experience. Ayurveda, the development of Ayurveda requires tremendous motivation. What I've learned from Krishna Kumarji is also that what we need is a Bhagirath Prayatna. Ayurveda is like the river Ganga that we have to bring back to flow on this earth. And even one lifetime of effort is not enough. And I think that legacy, I am also, I cannot escape thinking about Krishna Kumarji because it was his vision that gave rise to this college, of which also I am right now talking here as an alumni, as Dr. Raghuram Bhatt mentioned. One message what he has given to us is that this Bhagirath Prayatna should continue. And I think the SAMSIDDHI is also, a manifestation of such an effort. That's how I am looking at it. And I hope that this will continue. The topic chosen is also very apt. Ayurveda needs to be decoded, because it is written in an ancient language And at this point, I would also like to say, I'm sure the Raghuram Bhatt will also agree with me that if we sacrifice Sanskrit, we will sacrifice Ayurveda. One of the key things the Ayurveda students of today have to keep in mind is that if you want to decode Ayurveda, you must learn. You don't have to become a big scholar in Sanskrit. I'm not saying that we all have to become Kalidasas. Of course, Vagbhada was also a great poet. There is nothing wrong if we can also rise up to such level of literary skills. But a simple working knowledge, at least knowing terminologies in Sanskrit and getting their deeper meaning is very essential, because that is what I am going to talk about today. You know, Ayurveda has a timeless aspect and also a time-bound aspect. It is time that we, unearth, unravel the timeless wisdom of Ayurveda and make it, apply it in a way that is relevant today. The development of Ayurveda does not mean going back, but taking the essence of the past and moving forward. I think that is what I understand as decoding Ayurveda. We have to decode Ayurveda for different segments of society. But first and foremost, we must decode it for the students of Ayurveda itself, the community of Ayurveda itself. Only then they can decode it for the rest of the world. And today we need Ayurveda to be decoded to different types of people. There are scientists who need it to be decoded in a particular way. There are lawmakers to whom we have to decode, because that is also what I would like to talk today. And I will conclude here. Ayurveda is surviving, but it has to flourish. And that is up to us. That is the challenge. All our previous generation, they were fighting to keep Ayurveda going. Now we have reached a point where it is no longer the question of survival. Ayurveda should flourish. That was the vision of Krishna Kumarji also, the global resurgence of Ayurveda. And for that, let us all work together. And this is a wonderful initiative. This kind of brainstorming, I think, will give us the roadmap for how we should take Ayurveda forward. Once again, my salutations to all the eminent experts. I'm honored to share this platform with all such dignitaries. And also, I'm looking forward to sharing my views in a short while. Namaste. Thank you. Jai Ayurveda. Jai Dhanvantari.
Thank you so much, sir. Now, we have Dr. Raju Thomas, sir. Sir did BAMS from Cortical Ayurveda College and is a private practitioner since 1991 and is the president of Ayurveda Medical Association of India since 2018. Earlier, sir was Kottayam District Secretary and Ernakulam Zonal Secretary. I would like to invite sir to speak a few words. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. Good evening, one and all. Respected Chair Dr. Anup Thakur, Chief Guest Srimati Veena George, Honorable Minister for Health and Family Welfare, Kerala. Respected speakers, Dr. Raghuram Bhatt, Dr. Prasanna Narasimha Rao, Dr. Chandra Maudisharan, Dr. Ram Manohar, and dear participants. At the very outset, I congratulate the whole team behind this seminar series, SAMSIDDHI 2021, and all the participants. Ayurveda Medical Association of India was very happy to cooperate with the seminar series organized by Coimbatore Ayurveda College and the DIKSHA E-Learning team. I think SAMSIDDHI is a major intervention in the Ayurvedic academic sector. It is beneficial for both the practitioners and students. I think such programs are very much essential to update our knowledge and to sharpen our clinical skills. This program SAMSIDDHI is being conducted since 2015 with the core point concepts and the fundamentals of Ayurveda. And this year, the program has taken a new dimension with the poster and paper presentations for the participants with the attractive price structure. And the theme, decoding Ayurveda, is very relevant to the present scenario. And I think it is not a simple job to conduct such a vast seminar with around 43 sessions and 45 eminent speakers. Coimbatore Ayurveda College is always playing a major role in the Ayurvedic academic section of the country. Along with the usual academic activities, they are always conducting so many programs to upgrade and update the Ayurveda fraternity. Now, in the backdrop of the pandemic COVID-19, traditional medical systems like Ayurveda is gaining much acceptance globally. Earlier, Dr. Anup Thakur has explained how Ayurveda is beneficial in treating COVID in states like Gujarat. Whether it is regarding the prevention or a treatment or rehabilitation, whichever may be, our system has an answer. The general public are much aware that Ayurveda shall be useful in this pandemic situation. Even though the central government and many state governments, especially like Maharashtra or Gujarat, Delhi, they are doing everything to promote Ayurveda. But in a few states like Kerala, the scene is much different. We are not officially recognized as a standalone system in these states. There are so many hazards and hesitations in states like Kerala. I think in this situation, we have to make combined movements and have to take great efforts to get our due share. In such situations, we should be equipped both theoretically and practically. And I think the seminars like SAMSIDDHI will help in a larger way in this regard. On behalf of Ayurveda Medical Association of India, I once again congratulate the organizers and wish the participants all the best in their career. I extend my gratitude to the organizers for inviting me to this function, and let me remain by paying homages to the fond memories of the legend Krishna Umarji and our beloved Dr. Sudhir Raj. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Now, there is a special announcement. Due to the remarkable work of our young Vaidyas from all around India, we have spent some special jury mentions for our paper and poster presentation competition of SAMSIDDHI 2021. To announce the same, I would like to invite Dr. Chandramauli Ishwaran sir, Principal, Ayurveda College, Coimbatore. Over to you, sir.
Good evening, everyone. Namaste, Bhatt sir, Namaste, Prasanna sir, Ramanaru sir, and everyone. It's my honor and it's my privilege to be here, and I'm a small student in front of you. I'm sitting as a student only, though I have become a principal. Still, I'm a student of Dr. Bhatt and Dr. Rao sir and everyone. So actually, before I go this, I just would like to say some words. So basically, when Bhatt star started this, in between it was stopped, then started by Sudhir sir. And once again, we wanted, we discussed and we wanted to, continue this SAMSIDDHI, because it's a very noble thing, and we want to, how much we can, help Ayurveda. How it is our duty to take up this science, and it is our duty to take up this science to the world. So we decided, and I was just casually talking to, Sai, Anand Sai, who is the backbone of this entire SAMSIDDHI, I would say, because he's the single person along with other like Tulya and that one more person. These three were doing lots of things, and Sai told, I was just saying, Sai, when we want to continue, when we want to do this time, this should be like, there are so many questions are there not answered in Ayurveda, like, because I'm writing a book and I already finished a book on Snehana. So there are so many Samyik Snigdha Lakshanas, or why it is happening. We don't know, like we say Brahme Muhurte Uttishte, but why we need to. So I want to have answers for these questions. Why these things being said in Ayurveda? Then he came up with the name, sir, why we will just put it Ayurveda Decoded. Then that's how it, one fine evening, after dinner, we were just discussing. That's how it started actually. So from there, we could able to develop, and from there we could able to do. Then we came to the idea that let us, everywhere there is webinars, everywhere there is seminars are going on. But I said, like, let us give some presentations, let us allow the students or PhD scholars or the practitioners, let us give the platform so that they can present their view like that. The idea came. That's why, we announced it. But later what happened, we were really overwhelmed by the response. Either it can be students or it would be like class scholars, even the practitioners, like posters, papers, more than 800 came. So we invited judges from different colleges, external judges, to be fair enough, so to fair to everyone. So from Star Wars, different HODs, professors, principals, we invited them. Then we allowed the students and practitioners, the scholars, to present the paper. And we lastly the special jury selected the what do you say, this papers who are who got the prizes. Then we thought that there are so many good papers. So like it was like how to ignore them. That's why initially, though we said only we will have 3 the poster or the main oral presentation. Then later we thought that we will give the special mentioning also. So that's why I'm going to announce. So like the special jury mention for oral presentation is Dr. Sushmita Sriram, Ayurveda College, Coimbatore. Then Dr. Y. Rajeshwari, Sri Dharmasthala Manjanadeshwara College of Ayurveda and Hospital, Hassan. And Dr. Gina George, SKM CHRC, Bangalore, Sri Kalabhaireshwara College. And this next is Dr. Manasvi Bharadwaj, SGT University, Haryana. Dr. Ramya M, Government Ayurvedic Medical College, Bangalore. And Dr. Shushmita Bekal, Alvas Ayurveda Medical College, Mudbadri. Okay. For then for the poster presentations, it is like 3 people we selected. Geetu KC, okay, Government Ayurveda College, Tirupunitura. Then second one is Dr. Shreya S. Kalokar, this Gomantak Ayurveda Mahavidyalaya and Research Center, Goa. Then third one is this Dr. Pankaj Sharma, this Shiva Ayurvedic Medical College and Hospital, okay, Himachal. Okay, so these were I congratulate once again all of them. And really many of the papers really we wanted to give more maybe next time, because it was a wonderful to read, and it's the emerging students. I once again congratulate everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. So with that, we come to an end of the valedictory function. To render the vote of thanks, I would like to invite Dr. Chandramouli sir, Principal, Ayurveda College, Coimbatore. Over to you, sir.
Yes. So I deem it a great honor and privilege to propose the vote of thanks in this memorable occasion. Let me first of all state by giving glory to the Almighty God for making today's occasion a renowned success. First and foremost, I thank our chief guest, Honorable Srimati Veena George, Minister for Health and Family Welfare, Government of Kerala, who, despite of her busy schedule, has found to grace this occasion. We are grateful to Dr. Anup Thakkar sir, Director, Gujarat Ayurveda University, who gracefully accepted our invitation and blessed the occasion. Thank you very much, sir. I owe special gratitude to Dr. Raghuram Bhatt sir, President, Medical Assessment and Rating Board, NCASM, New Delhi, who sowed the seeds of SAMSIDDHI in the year 2015 when he was a principal, Ayurveda College, Coimbatore. I sincerely thank him and for blessing this occasion, sir. I would like to take this opportunity to express my heartily thanks to Professor Dr. Prasanna N. Rao sir for gracing the function and sharing his valuable thoughts. I must say, my internship in Hassan under your guidance helped me to slowly grow up to this level, sir. I sincerely thank you from my bottom of my heart, sir. And we are very thankful to Dr. Raju Thomas, State President, AMAA, for accepting our invitation and made himself available. Thank you once again, sir. I personally thank Dr. Nagarani and my beloved trustee, sir, Sendil Ganesh, sir, for always supporting us in all the endeavors. I am extremely thankful to Dr. Ramanohar, sir, Research Director, Amrita School of Ayurveda, who is going to speak on today's session. Thank you once again, sir. I must mention my deep sense of appreciation for the staffs and students of Ayurveda College, Coimbatore, for making this event great success, especially Anand Sai, okay, who really made this, and all the, Vice Principal Tulya, Hita, if I am forgetting anybody's name, I apologize, but I didn't do nothing actually. I was just sitting behind. These people made this success, so I don't take any credit. Okay, all the credit goes to you all. Okay, and lastly, I express, without the staff and students, without you all, I am nothing. Okay, and I thank once again every students and the speakers, of course, all the speakers, participants, okay, and the followers of Diksha E-Learning. Without you all, this would not have been possible. So I thank once again one and all. Have a great evening. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. We will also be incomplete without your support, sir. Now, we would like to once again announce the winners and the special jury mentions of SAMSIDDHI paper and poster presentation competition. The winners for paper presentation competition are: first prize, Dr. Dhanvantri Gorakhnath Sasthe, Government Ayurveda Medical College and Hospital, Mysore. Second prize goes to Vaidya Chaitrali Kolaktar, KLE Shri BMK Ayurveda Mahavidyalaya and Research Center, Belgavi. Third prize goes to Dr. Geetika KN, Amrita School of Ayurveda, Amritapuri, Kerala. Special jury mentions for paper presentation are Sushmita Sriram, Ayurveda College, Coimbatore; Dr. Y. Rajeshwari, SDM College of Ayurveda and Hospital, Hassan; Dr. Rajeshwari, Sri College of Ayurveda Science and Research, Bengaluru; Dr. Gina George, SKMCH and RC, Bangalore; Dr. Mansvi Bharatwaj, SGT University, Haryana; Dr. Ramya M, Government Ayurvedic Medical College, Bangalore; Dr. Sushmita Bekal, Alvas Ayurveda Medical College, Mudupitri. Now, for the poster presentation results, first prize goes to R. Aishwarya Lakshmi, Ayurveda College, Coimbatore. Second prize, Dr. Rajalakshmi Jana, Alvas Ayurveda Medical College, Mudupitri. Third prize, Dr. Anuj Kumar Singh, Sri Kalabhaireshwara Swami Ayurvedic Medical College and Research Center, Bangalore, Karnataka. Special jury mentions for poster presentation is Geetu KC, Government Ayurveda College, Tripunithura; Dr. Shreya Gomataka, Ayurveda Mahavidyalaya and Research Center; Pankaj Sharma from Himachal. Once again, I congratulate all the winners on behalf of the Ayurveda College, Coimbatore and the entire team of DIKSHA E-Learning.
Now, without any further ado, let us start the session. Today, we have Dr. Ram Manohar Sir with us to speak on the topic Translational Ayurveda, applying the principles of Ayurveda for contemporary needs. Before starting the session, I would like to go through a few of the basic instructions to be followed throughout the session. For uninterrupted class sessions, use laptop with high-speed internet connection. Please make sure your microphone is on mute to have a disturbance-free session. In case of any disruption, please check your internet connection firstly, and if the problem is within our network connection, kindly raise the issue in the chat box. Filling your full name to be displayed is appreciated.
Hello.
Filling your full name to be displayed is appreciated. Any suggestions and queries can be sent in the chat box. Now, without any further delay, let
So, Namaste. Are we ready to start?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
So, namaste. Ajnanatimirandhasya jnananjanashalakaya चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः. So once again, I would like to thank the organizers for inviting me to this event, and I'm happy to share some of my thoughts on the topic Translational Ayurveda. Many of you might be even wondering what this means. Is there, it's Translational Ayurveda, does it mean translating, Ayurvedic texts into English or any other language or into scientific terms? It's not exactly that. What I mean by translation is, applying the principles of Ayurveda in a way that is relevant for our times. So today I would like to talk about some basic approaches that we have to take based on my own experience and understanding so far. I would like to share that with you and maybe engage in some discussion, because I think the development of Ayurveda is at a critical juncture. And what we are going to do, how we as the new generation of Ayurveda, how we are going to engage ourselves, how we set our priorities is going to give shape to the way Ayurveda will be, developing in the future. So that is the concept I also passingly mentioned just a little while ago, that for Ayurveda to survive, I think Ayurveda has the tremendous ability to survive all kinds of challenges. So we don't need to worry about that. It has faced very big challenges during the colonial period, even that before that, the invasions and hostile conditions, it has managed to survive. But we need to take a path that will ensure that Ayurveda flourishes, that the best of Ayurveda can, enrich humanity. And if we want that flourishing of Ayurveda to occur, then we have to set our priorities correctly. And how we can go about with this in the field of research, education, clinical practice, policy making, this is what I would like to discuss very briefly, today in this occasion. So I will just share my slides in a moment. Are you all able to see the slides?
Yes, sir.
So then that is the topic, Translational Ayurveda, applying the principles of Ayurveda for the needs of contemporary times. So what will be the best contribution that Ayurveda can make for the future of healthcare? I would like to start with that as our, beginning point for discussion. We need a vision to take Ayurveda forward, and people like Krishna Kumarji had this kind of a long-term global vision for Ayurveda. Ayurveda is for the world. Wherever there is life, there is Ayurveda. This is what I have felt. Sanskrit is also like that. Sanskrit is a language that is not bound by any geographical location. If you look at all other languages, Tamil for Tamil Nadu, Malayalam in Kerala, because Malayalam is from the Malayala Desha, so it is, all languages are specific to a Desha. English, of course, it became more universal, but it is still linked to a geographical land, the very name. But Sanskritam means what is refined. It is the most refined expression of human speech. Similarly, all other medical systems are known by the place where it has originated, like Chinese medicine, Western medicine, African medicine. But Ayurveda is known as Ayurveda itself because Ayurveda is universal. Ayus, wherever there is Ayus, there is Ayurveda. It is a knowledge of life, and life is not bound by geographical boundaries. So I would like to point out that this is one of the uniqueness. All other systems are known by new acronym. Traditional Chinese medicine is known as TCM, but even in the WHO and NIH documents, we still see the word Ayurveda as it is. And I have felt many people suggested we must convert Ayurveda into TIM, traditional Indian medicine. But I am so glad that it still remains as Ayurveda, because in that name is a very global and universal philosophy that is a message for the whole world. Once when I was in Russia, there was a television group that interviewed me, and suddenly they asked me a question: how do you think Ayurveda can adapt to the modern world? So I was a bit taken aback. How do you think Ayurveda can survive in the modern world? How can Ayurveda adapt so that it becomes more acceptable? The answer that came to my mind immediately was that, I don't know. I don't think that it is Ayurveda that has to adapt. This is what the COVID pandemic has also taught us. We have to adapt to nature. Ayurveda is the knowledge of nature. And nature, if you want to say that Ayurveda has to adapt or adjust so that it can have a currency in the modern world, is telling that nature has to adapt to us. It is as foolish as saying that. Ayurveda represents certain natural laws, and if we want to survive, we have to adapt to those natural laws. That is where the pandemic has brought us to. It is not only COVID-19, we do not know what is in store for us. Just some time back, the reality of climate change has been so widely acknowledged. And, the warming of the earth and all the consequences that we are going to face, I think we have reached a point where a radical change in thought has to happen. And that is the platform on which I would like to talk about translational Ayurveda. And for that, we have to rediscover decode, as this theme of this conference says. And when we decode Ayurveda, what we get may be something different from what we have imagined Ayurveda to be. The abstract principles, the laws of nature that need to be reinterpreted and represented in a way that people can understand. So what we need to do is not to change Ayurveda, package triphala in a plastic bottle, and that is how we can sell it more, or modify Ayurvedic treatments in a way that it is becoming more comfortable. So you have, instant panchakarma. There are many, many ways in which our Ayurvedic community is trying to adapt and modify Ayurveda so that it becomes more acceptable. But I don't know whether that is the right way to go. We have to reinterpret, we have to present Ayurveda in a way that will appeal to the modern mind. But that doesn't mean that we have to completely twist and modify Ayurveda to fit the fancy and whims of modern society. So I'm just trying to give some background because we have a long journey to go, and I really hope that all of you will stay. This is a Sunday late evening. I'm amazed to see more than 100 participants already. So I wouldn't be surprised if the numbers dwindle towards the end of the session, which is quite long. I will also try to bring some points before the audience and maybe open up some discussions. I think that would be more interesting rather than just have a long monologue. And I'm not seeing anybody, so that is also a bit of a discomfort. So if the organizers agree, I would like to ask some questions in between and not make it just a monologue. Is that agreeable? Okay, so there is no response. I hope we will have people responding as we move forward. Yeah. So the first and foremost thing, in my opinion, this is what I mean. Ayurveda is there to empower our society. And when I was a student, I've been repeating this in many places because I think this is very relevant till it drives into our minds. We have to keep emphasizing this. When I was a student, we all, looked forward to this goal set by WHO, health for all by 2000 AD. It seemed a bit strange that, you could make all people on earth healthy, with such a propaganda or agenda by 2000 AD. We were in the 1980s, 90s at that time. And in 10 to 15 years, we were all looking forward to the whole world becoming healthy through the intervention of WHO. But around 2000 AD, at the strike of the new millennium, major diseases like AIDS set in. And this was a big shock. So it was quite obvious that health is not something that we can, package and distribute to the world. The world is not going to become healthy just if we, manufacture some pills and put it down the throats of individuals all over the world. People are not going to become healthy. So health cannot be distributed. This realization has led a new slogan to emerge. And now the slogan is universal healthcare. We cannot give health for everybody, but let us give health care for everybody. But is this also a solution? If you ask really very sincerely, having health care or access to health care is also not going to solve our problem. Because in the COVID pandemic, we realized that some of the countries which had access to the best healthcare facilities in the world suffered the most. So even giving complete healthcare to everybody, access to hospitals, even every house having a hospital, in the neighborhood, does not ensure that people will achieve health. And this is the slogan of Ayurveda. Sarve bhavantu sukhina. When you say health for all, we are not telling that we can distribute health, but we aspire. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu sarve santu niramaya. This has been the goal of Ayurveda. And this is the first thing I want to put in front of us. Today, I'm also a bit worried. Many of you may not want discussions on such topics because most of the time in seminars, I see the new generation are interested in getting quick fixes. What is the medicine for diabetes? Is there a medicine to, quickly cure this disease? What herb can I give to rheumatoid arthritis? So this is what is called as medicalization, over medicalization. We medicalize all human problems and everything we have a medical solution. We don't realize that we are reconstructing Ayurveda in the image of modern medicine, which is a very medicalized, system of healthcare. So we shouldn't fall into that trap. Ayurveda is something much bigger to give. I'm not saying that we shouldn't treat diseases or we shouldn't have protocols. I will also come to that area. But as an Ayurvedic physician, what we have to give to the world is a much bigger focus on health. And that is what I say, health intelligence for all. How can the whole world become healthy? Which is the mantra of Ayurveda. Sarve santu niramaya. Can we make everybody healthy by distributing Triphala all over the world? No, I don't think so. People are already taking Triphala all over the world, and without knowing how to use it, many people are also damaging their gastrointestinal systems. When Triphala abuse happens, because it is very ruksha. Once one of my patients, came to me, and this was my first consultation. He came to an Ayurvedic physician because he had a problem. He was taking Triphala for a long time. And when he did a study of the colon, the allopathic doctor gave the diagnosis causes, severe erosion of the intestinal mucosa due to abuse of Triphala. That was the diagnosis. So this patient came to me and said, see, I'm coming to consult you because I want to know what is this. Triple I is supposed to be such a safe and wonderful medicine. How come I have been taking Triple regularly? And how come the allopathic doctor says, is it true? Or are they accusing Ayurveda? And then I told him, how are you using Triphala? Why did you use it? So he said, I'm using it every day. I've been taking and slowly increasing the dosage of Triphala to move my bowels. So I said, according to Ayurveda, Triphala is extremely ruksha and indiscriminate use. And I asked him also, how did you start doing this? Where did some Vaidya give you consultation? How did you use this Triphala in such large quantities for so many years? So he said, I know about Triphala, I read about it and I started using it. So this was when I had just finished my course and I had just begun, consulting patients. And that gave me a very deep insight, Ayurveda says, and that is also one of the meanings of Samsiddhi, Samyak Prayogam Sarvesham, Siddhirakyadi Karmanam. Ayurveda has never said that any medicine is effective. Ayurveda has been very diplomatic here. We have only said prayoga shamayad vyadhim. In Ayurveda, everything is a prayoga. A prayoga means it is a well thought out, there is a yukti behind every prayoga. According to the patient, according to the avastha, according to the prakriti, so many factors are taken into consideration and very carefully an intervention is given. And that prayoga can become shuddham. When it does not give rise to a new problem, then the prayoga is shuddha. So it immediately struck me that this man has developed this erosion of his gastrointestinal mucosa because of a wrong prayoga of Triphala. So Triphala is not to blame. So I had to explain to him that Triphala is very ruksha, depending on a constitution. Triphala is mentioned for the regular use, Triphala Mathusarpibhyam, and very specifically what substances with it should be used, what dose it should be used. Netrabala, it is for Netrabala, and Ayurveda is not recommended it on a daily basis for moving your bowels. So if your bowels had not moved even after so much use of Triphala, you must have tried to find out the reason. So this is the very important factor that we have to keep in mind, that when you say distributing medicines or creating Ayurveda clinics all over the world, we must think beyond that. We must have a vision for the future. And that is the challenge if we want to make Ayurveda flourish as a complete system. I think the slogan for the future, the slogan of Ayurveda, which should be taken up, and I'm sure this will be taken up, it is already coming into the forefront. And these three slogans actually, clearly tell us this paradigm shift in perception on how the future healthcare system should be. From health for all by 2000 AD to universal healthcare to health intelligence for all. What Ayurveda says is that what we need is health intelligence. And what an Ayurveda physician should strive to is to awaken the health intelligence in each individual. Only by empowering individuals with knowledge of health, that is the only way we can create a healthy society. And this is where Ayurveda can take the leadership into the future. And I'm surprised to see that such lifestyle measures, thought processes are all happening now in the Western medicine. And we Ayurveda people are still running behind, single drugs and magical remedies. I will also share a little bit of my own experience. But before that, I would like to ask a question to this learned audience. Are you all listening? Because I like these discussions to be interactive, and this is one thing I hate about these online meetings. I'm seeing only my screen, and sometimes I'm seeing participant numbers reducing, increasing, reducing, increasing. I don't know what's going on in all your minds. So let me ask you a question. Can any one of you answer? What is the leading cause of death in the world, especially in the developed countries? Can anybody say? What is the number one cause of death?
We request participants to answer the question by raising their hand or posting the answer in the chat box.
I want it to be interactive, so I'll be asking. Cancer, diabetes, any other suggestion? Cardiovascular disease, misuse of medicines. The number one cause for death in the developed countries, because in many other countries we do not have enough data. So for a country like the United States, in Europe, many places we have data. And heart disease is a number one killer now in the developed world. In the other less, poorer countries, I wouldn't say less developed, financially a little backward, people are not able to achieve sanitation and hygiene. Their infectious diseases are also problematic. But even when you have very good healthcare systems, heart disease. What is the second biggest killer disease? Anybody? Cancer, that's correct. The second biggest killer disease is cancer. And any guess which is the third cause of death? Very good. So Riddhi Garg has given the right answer. Not exactly the physicians, that would be unfair. Medical error is the third leading cause of death. This was published in the BMJ some years ago. And then we have, respiratory diseases like COPD. Then we have diabetes. These are all coming later. But medical error is a third leading cause. And this is where I want, when we Ayurveda physicians are criticizing modern doctors, we don't consider that, we may also be doing similar things. We don't have data. We don't know what we are doing. In modern medicine, there are a lot of problems, but there's also a documentation system which keeps checking whether medical error happens and how many times a doctor is responsible. This could happen with Ayurveda also. This may be happening with Ayurveda also. And I would say that we shouldn't make any claims that, we are free from medical errors. Can any Ayurveda physician say that? No, any medical system can produce medical errors. This is part of the, and Charaka Samhita very clearly says, Tasmanna Bhishaja Yuktam Yuktibahyena Bheshajam Dhimada Kinchidadeyam Jividarogya Kakshina. The Charaka Samhita tells the patient, don't take the medicine that is prescribed without a proper rationale. So this is very surprising because it is only in one place in the Charaka Samhita that this is mentioned. The patient is asked to be sure not to take a medicine that is prescribed without proper rationale. So irrational prescribing, wrong diagnosis. There are studies which have shown that in many, many big hospitals with access to latest diagnostic facilities, medical error is happening in diagnosis as well as giving of treatment. And one of the major problems is over-medicalization, that every time a patient comes for a consultation, we try to end up giving a prescription. A medicine has to be prescribed. There is no other way, you can treat, or it ends up in surgery. So interventional medicine, overuse of interventional medicine is a big challenge. So, my dear friends, I am trying to give you a different picture of how an Ayurvedic physician should be. A person who is nurturing health intelligence in his own patients, in the people of the world. In Ayurveda, it is not just patient. We say karma purusha. Ayurveda is for the purusha. Purusha means the person, the complete being, and awakening and empowering that individual to, become health conscious and participate in the creation of his and preservation of his or own health. That is the major function of, Ayurveda. It is not dramatic and as lucrative as, it may, the current medical practice appeals to be, but in the long run, this is where the world is moving to. So I want to narrate one or two incidences. You know, there was a study in several parts of the world that when medical doctors went on strike, I'm not talking about emergency medicine. There, of course, medical intervention will make a big difference. But in routine care, when doctors went on strike, the actual death rate plummeted. In several parts of the world, in several periods of time, this was consistently reported that when doctors go on strike, less people die. Now, this is really a matter of concern. When I was a student, my father once got a book for me. You can also look at this. Of telling, this is not a criticism of modern medicine. It's a way, you know, medicine is practiced. There is no belittling the great advancements that have happened in the medical field. But we have created a medical system and a culture in which unnecessary medication is given. And in Lancet, I think many decades ago, there was a reference to a very simple fact. You know, of the total number of consultations that happen, 80 to 85% are consultations which don't require any physician's help. About 10 to 15% are for diseases that wouldn't be cured even if with medical intervention. And it's only about 5 to 10% of consultations. I'm not telling the total diseases. 5 to 10% of consultations are for conditions where medical help can make a difference. So you can understand we have created a health culture which is very cure oriented, intervention oriented, so that unnecessary treatments, unnecessary interventions, unnecessary dependence on medication is being promoted in modern society. And now I would like to share some of my own experience. I don't know if many of you may have expected, you know, some treatment protocol to be described. You give this kashayam, that kashayam, then you do this virechana, that vaman, and this disease is cured. I'm afraid I don't believe in such an approach due to my personal experience and also looking at what happens. Like some of the non-communicable diseases where Ayurveda is very strong, I think it's very important that we bring this holistic approach of Ayurveda. And one of the biggest problems in modern day Ayurveda in India is our overemphasis on medications. For everything, we want stronger and stronger medicines and some magical medicine, one or two simple formulations which we want to cure. I think this is the new thought process that is emerging in the whole Ayurvedic curriculum. Please correct me if I am wrong. What is your opinion? Is it true that the new generation of Ayurveda physicians are becoming more medicine oriented? Can anybody answer? Yeah, Dr. Srividya, Abhimanyu, Abhijit, many are saying yes. Yes. So I want to share some experiences. In my own experience, I got some health problems and, you know, I tried medicines and I tried a more comprehensive approach of Ayurveda. And I will share what happened in my own life. You know, in some years ago, there was a very interesting clinical trial started. And, you know, at that time, I was also working on diabetes, trying to find out which are the best medicines. And in US, a systematic review has been published on what Ayurveda can offer in diabetes. So many herbs, about 44 formulations so far tried in diabetes. And to what extent is Ayurveda helpful? A systematic review has been done. And they were saying that many of these pharmacological agents seem to be promising, but further studies are needed. So at this point, we do not yet have very strong evidence that any single Ayurvedic formulation or single herb could create a, you know, a very big difference. At that time, I read, yes, Porkalai. You want to say something? You have raised your hand. Can I request the organizers to allow her to speak?
Yes, sir. We request Porkalai ji to unmute herself. I think there is some network issue, sir. She's not able to unmute.
Okay.
We request for Kalai to put her question or suggestion in the chat box.
Right. Okay. Yes. So at this time in Europe, a very interesting study was started. It is called DIRECT. Diabetes, remission trial. DIRECT trial. It's very interesting. And their focus is to see if just by weight management, diet and lifestyle, whether diabetes. Yeah, I mean, let me be clear. I'm not against, formulations, or these are very essential. We need to also use formulation, but I'm just trying to put a point that Ayurveda has a more complete approach and how modern studies are also leading to that. And I wish in some of these areas, we would have taken the lead. In the last, not this year, the previous 2 Nobel Prizes went for concepts that have its origin in Ayurveda, like chronobiology and autophagy. These are linked to Ayurvedic concepts like Lankhana and, Rutucharya and Dinucharya. And in whole physiology itself, the paradigm is shifting into more holistic and complete concepts. So for chronobiology, discovering the genetic links, a scientist was awarded a Nobel Prize. Before that, autophagy, which is very similar to the Ayurvedic concept of Lankhana. So why are we forsaking our fundamental concepts? That is my question. And going just for a drug-oriented approach. The drugs are there, but it is only one of the tools that an Ayurveda physician uses. Pathe sadi gadarthasya kimaushadha nishevanai. Pathe asadi gadarthasya kimaushadha nishevanai. That philosophy we are forgetting. And that is why I feel that Ayurveda is not getting result. COVID came to me like a little blessing. Because of COVID, I was anticipating post-COVID problems. After COVID, it was mild, but everybody, has this fear. What is going to happen after I recover? And I went to do a checkup and I found actually I had pre-COVID problems. COVID pointed out to me that I had problems which I had not recognized. I was, partially almost hypertensive and getting into diabetes and with cholesterol, sitting in the desk and, doing the so-called research and eating and not moving. Asya sukham swapna sukham dadhini, as Ayurvedic texts say. I was a victim. I felt very ashamed. I think it is not correct. I can justify by saying Rishaya Kalu Kadajit Chalina Yaya Varascha. In Charaka Samhita, it is mentioned even rishis became sick by following a Gramya Jividam. I realized that at one point of time, that if you lead a sedentary life, you cannot call yourself a Vaidya. I had to take a serious decision. And 6 years I have been trying with Ayurvedic medicines to control all this. It is coming down, but cholesterol from 258 comes to 200, 199, it stays like that. But 3 months I tried rigorous diet and exercise and stopped medicines, almost very few medicines. My cholesterol in 1.5 months came down from 258 to 140. It has come down below the normal level. LDL I have been trying to reverse so much. So it came down to 76. It was 140, 135. My HbA1c it had not gone, very bad, but 6.3, it has come down to 5.5. Now, most of my time, the sugar levels are on the lower side. And that is when I realized that what we think is the long cut is actually the shortcut. 6 years of medications versus 3 months of a complete Ayurvedic regimen. Of course, I use medicines. I use Resa medicines. And my blood pressure, which had gone to 160, 100, has now come to systolic, dropped very quickly just by exercise. This is what the American Heart Association tells the DASH, dietary approaches to stop hypertension. That is actually the real treatment for hypertension. In people who cannot do that, they are forcing the body to there are some questions. I will come to that. That's very interesting to know. So, this diabetes trial, the DIRECT trial also found this. They found the message is very clear, and this is very much in tune with the Ayurvedic principle. My question is, the DIRECT trial is something that the Ayurvedic community should have actually conducted. It is who should have told the world that diabetes can be induced into remission just by lifestyle intervention. This study, direct trial revealed, it is published in the Lancet. I would encourage all of you to please read that, because this is the kind of studies that we have to do in the future. And with data, we have to inform the people how they can come into control and change their own lives. So in this trial, they found that even people who were diabetic for up to 6 years, they were able to stop all their medications just by following this direct trial. And how much more can Ayurveda do? Because in Ayurveda, we can customize the diet and lifestyle for each individual according to their prakriti and so many factors, according to their region. And so the dietary and lifestyle intervention of Ayurveda will become even more powerful. I learned about this when I started going to teach Ayurveda outside India. I went to Latin America, to Germany, and in all those places, the problem is no Ayurveda medicines available and legal issues problems. And one of the doctors, when I was in Argentina, he was telling me Ayurveda is wonderful. I'm getting wonderful results. So I asked him, what medicines are you having here? How can you treat? When they asked me to consult, I said, I cannot treat because there are no medicines. What will I prescribe? I don't want to simply. And then the doctor shared how using simple Ayurveda dietary tips, they were able to bring about wonderful results in autoimmune diseases, in many lifestyle disorders with simple herbs. The herbs that they are using are ginger, turmeric, and whatever is available there. So I must say that it was an eye-opener for me, and I realized that diet and lifestyle is the foundation. Diet and lifestyle. Now, Abhimanyu Abhijit has been asking me this question. When we say pathya to the patient, when the patient who is compulsive of the nidana, we'll be reluctant to take pathya and how to. This is where the skill of an Ayurvedic physician lies. Because by pathya, we have misunderstood. What we are thinking of pathya is that it has to be something very difficult. Whatever the patient does not like, give him bitter things. That is not the concept of pathya. If you look at Charaka Samhita, this is what I mean by translational Ayurveda. Ayurveda has given us a lot of practical tips on how to make it patient friendly. Forcing a person to change his lifestyle will create more stress. When I was a student, I read this book by Andrew Weil on, integrative medicine. Spontaneous Healing was the name of that book. And in that, he narrates a story. One of his heart patients, was a great smoker. To that patient, the doctor said, you have to completely quit smoking just immediately. If you smoke one more cigarette, you will die. And the patient stopped smoking, but he died. In 1 or 2 days, he died. And then this doctor was thinking about it. I wanted to save him, and by stopping smoking, how did he die? Because, this is very, very important. That patient was smoking because he was under stress. And smoking was a way to release that stress. And smoking was killing him slowly, of course, but stopping smoking killed him immediately because he was not able to find any more outlet for that stress. So these kind of drastic recommendation of pathya is not going to help. That is why Charaka Samhita said, Pathyam padhona pedam yad yatcha abhi manasa priyam. Pathya should be that which is good for the body, but that should also be agreeable to the mind of the patient. So that is the whole science of pathya in Ayurveda. Even in cooking, we say 3 things have to be brought together. Then only the Ayurvedic diet becomes complete. It should be nutritious. It should be, digestible to the patient. And it should also be tasty. It is easy to make nutritious food. It is easy to make tasty food. But it is difficult to make nutritious and tasty food that can be assimilated and digested by the patient. So in Ayurveda, we have to think innovatively. So Ayurveda says, Satatyad swadva abhavadva pathyam dveshyatvam agadam kalpana vidhibistaistair priyatvam gamet punaha. Don't force a patient to do things that he doesn't like. And that is the yukti. That is where the yukti of the patient has to work. He says if a patient doesn't like a particular type of food, modify it, create a new recipe which will become tasty for that patient. Because manasaha arthanukulya tuftirurja balojaya. When the mind becomes favorable, then the immune system gets activated and the patient, the healing process gets initiated. So forcefully putting pathya on a patient is not effective. So the Ayurveda physician has to be a psychologist. That is, see, if you look at the Ashtanga Hridayam Sutra Sthanam, it is a model of an Ayurvedic prescription. That is what I would say. First chapter itself talks about Ragadi Rogan, which means stress is the most important thing. Don't do any treatment to the patient that will make him more stressful. This is one principle that you have to keep. So don't give a pathya to the patient that will make him more stressed. Because if the patient is stressed, then everything is gone. Nothing else will work. So the treatment itself should be stress relieving, not stress creating. Ragadi Rogan, Satadanu Shaktan, that is why that is there in the first sloka itself. This is an important principle. So even when you want to give a pathya, you must make it in such a way. And Charaka also tells, understand the psychology of the person. There are some people who are Laukikas, some people who are Vaidikas, some people who are Karmapavargis. According to their mindset, we have to advise the do's and don'ts. And if you become too strict and too dry and not rigid, then this can stress the patient. So when we do Lankhana, Prana Virodhina Chenam Lankhanenopabade. When we do Lankhana, we must preserve Bala. Without, when you do a Lankhana that damages Bala, the patient is gone. Baladhishtanam Arogyam Arogyartham Kriya Kramaha. Similarly, Manaprasannata is the basis of your Arogya. If Manaprasada is gone by your treatment, then the patient will collapse. So that is why in Ashtanga Hridayam, in the first chapter is the mental stress that is given. Mind engineering. Counseling is the first method of Ayurvedic treatment. Make the patient's inner energy to be awakened. Jnana buddhi pradipena yona vishadi yogavit aturasya andaratmanam nasarogams chikitsati. Then comes lifestyle. That is why Ritucharya, Dinacharya, Yoganutpadanam is mentioned next. Once you counsel the patient's mind, make them compatible to and accepting your whole proposal, slowly bring some lifestyle changes in their mind. If you don't change the mindset, you cannot change lifestyle. If you don't change lifestyle, there is no point in changing the diet. Diet has to be according to the lifestyle. And this is like plowing. When you are giving the treatment, I consider it now like this. We are sowing the seed of healing in a patient's body. Bijam chikitsidasya etat samasena pragirtidam savimsam adhyaya shatam asya vyakhya bhavishyati. So medicine is like a bijam, which we are putting into the body of the patient, the body mind of the patient. There it has to grow and become the healing power. So just like you prepare the land before you put the seed, otherwise the seed will not grow. Similarly, the body mind of the patient, you have to prepare with counseling, diet, and lifestyle. A patient who has been well prepared with counseling, diet, and lifestyle, in them the medicine will work. So medicine is dependent. In Ayurveda, Aushadha is dependent on the Pathya. In modern medicine, the medicine is so strong that even whether there is no Pathya or not, it will still work to some extent in the short run, but not in the long run also. So that diabetes study which I was talking about, in what they found is that if somebody becomes a diabetic and if they start medicine immediately, then they will become a diabetic forever. If you want to cure diabetes, lifestyle and dietary changes is the only way. This is the new finding. So Abhimanyu, Abhijit, was I able to answer your question to some extent? Do you have further queries? Yes. So let us have a heart. We must have karunyam. And we must be strict, but also gentle at the same time. Anathan rogino yascha, swasutaniva palayet. Just like our own child, we have to consider a patient. So we must go down to their level, make them comfortable, counsel them from deep inside their mind. And this kind of a healing is what the world needs today. So let us not rebuild Ayurveda in the shape of modern medicine itself. It is not that we have to, again, make it a medical Ayurveda. We have to bring back this holism. And we are talking about decoding Ayurveda. And there I want to be very clear. As students of Ayurveda, please make sure that we also have some basic grounding in Sanskrit. Otherwise, the deeper meanings of Ayurveda cannot be understood. Today, I was in a discussion on Kavai Gunya, Srotas. What is Srotas? If you don't study the Shastra with a deeper Sanskrit meaning, we will not get the deeper understanding. Sanskrit awakens that higher thought process in our mind. I don't know if you are aware that maybe it appears a bit difficult, but when you read the texts, it's very, very important that if you are reading the original Sanskrit, thinking about it, we don't have to become, as I told, Sanskrit scholars or poets, but a little engagement with Sanskrit can change the way we perceive things, the way we understand Ayurveda. A study was conducted where two groups of people were asked to read Sanskrit, verses, one written in English in transliteration, other in Devanagari script. And you can see from these functional MRI images. Yes. So Dr. Srividya also has a question. I will come to that. So we have, what it has been shown here is that when you read the Devanagari script, more areas of the brain are getting activated. So reading Sanskrit is like massaging the brain. Your whole thought perception, your thinking becomes vast and more refined. And this is something which we will lose if we don't engage with this language. So for people who have challenges in learning Sanskrit as a language, what I advise is at least contemplate on a core set of Ayurvedic terminologies in Sanskrit. 20 terms, 30 terms, 100 terms, 200 terms, 300 terms. Forget the language, but contemplate on these terms. What does Sukha mean? Sukha we translate as happiness, but Sukha means Sushtukha, good space. It actually also means, the purity of the srotases of the body. When the srotases are clean and not clogged, then there is health. So Sukha Samchakam Arogyam can give us a deep medical meaning also, if we understand, the deeper implications of Sanskrit. Similarly, there is a study that was done by an American scientist in Italy, what he called as the Sanskrit effect. I always wondered when as students of Ayurveda, why should we chant the slokas? Why should we by heart it? Nobody by hearts Harrison's or Davidson's, just read and understand. But this neuroscientist found that when you read Sanskrit and memorize Sanskrit verses and repeat it, so many areas of our brain get activated. There is growth in the hippocampus. And so Ayurvedic texts tell that we have to become a Sahasraksha to be able to get the deeper knowledge of Ayurveda. Sahasraksha means somebody who has 1,000 eyes. Indra is a Sahasraksha. So you need 1,000 eyes to get the knowledge of Ayurveda. And some engagement with Sanskrit. At least let us preserve the core terminologies. Don't translate terms like dosha, dushya, rasa. I think we should come to a conclusion that these, in whatever language it is written, it will be in the original Sanskrit. And we give an interpretation we can give for that word, but use that word. This is a major step that we have to take for the future, development and deeper understanding of Ayurveda, in my opinion. So as I was saying, we must go to the fundamentals. There are many, many deep theories of Ayurveda that could be rediscovered in the modern scientific context, and this is already beginning to happen. So in FRLHT, they started the Vaidya scientist program. I think bridging modern science and Ayurveda, this is such a beautiful concept. And such people would be able to bring to light, reinterpret, rediscover, decode many Ayurvedic concepts, into a modern context. So, yes, so I'm just skipping a few slides. There are very interesting concepts that I want to say about sleep medicine. There is a whole institute in the US for sleep medicine. And why are not we as Ayurvedic physicians studying about sleep? It is becoming a specialty. It's not in Ayurveda. We have the concept of Tristamba. Perhaps the next Nobel Prize would be in the field of sleep medicine. to understand how to improve quality of sleep, understanding sleep patterns, how it affects our immune system. I mean, Ayurveda has been extremely vocal. Why are no Ayurveda students studying about sleep? We are not interested. We are interested in studying only about herbs and chemicals, and we want to create new medicines. We want to find an alternative for paracetamol, an alternative for everything that modern medicine has, but we are not looking at our own strengths. So I want to tell you that some of our real core basic concepts, if we are bringing it into a scientific context, we can bring big paradigm shifts in the way medicine is practiced. That is my contention. And here I want to give a short example of one of my own observations. Is that, have you heard of the division of the day into the various yamas? Anybody? Are you aware of this division? We know that in Ayurveda, Kapha Kala, Pitta Kala, Vata Kala, Kapha Kala, Pitta Kala, Vata Kala. Not yet. So that is what I'm trying to explain here today. In the Tantric tradition, there's a very beautiful way of classifying these yamas. So here 4 hours is one yama. In Ayurveda, this is corresponding to the dosha time. So morning, in countries, in places where day and night are equal, the yamas are equally distributed. In extreme weather, we have to adjust for it. All yamas are not of same duration. So here we have morning 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. Sri Yama, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Jyeshtha Yama. I'm purposefully talking on concepts of Ayurveda which we are ignoring. That is the agenda of my talk today. I'm not wanting to talk on just few. I'll also talk about some formulations towards the end and how we can approach that. But I want to talk more about, these concepts that have potential to create new paradigms in science. Kind of the vision that Professor M.S. Valiathan had, Ayurveda biology. Let us not just become ground level clinicians alone. While we need that, the empowerment of the clinicians can happen by sound theoretical knowledge, which we can reconstruct today. So we have Sri Yama, Jyeshtha Yama, Parvati Yama, Durga Yama, Kali Yama, and then Saraswati Yama. Now, I've always been surprised. How can Pitta increase in the night when everything is cold? Have anybody thought about it? Can you tell me what is the logic behind Pitta being active in the middle of the night and we are sleeping? Pitta is an aggressive dosha. Has anybody thought about it? Can anybody give some example or a reason for this? Anybody? Riddhi Garg has suggested maybe some transformation is happening at that time. Any other inputs from anybody? I can see that people are already leaving, as I had anticipated, because it's a very long talk. So I want to keep the audience engaged. Any other suggestion? Why is Pitta increasing in the middle of night? Ushna is produced against the Shita Guna. Very good question. Any other reason? I would like to hear some of your, because this is a perennial question any Ayurveda student may ask. Daytime, mid-noon, when the sun is up, Pitta can increase. In the night, when the moon is cooling the earth, how can Pitta increase? Abhimanyu's and Riddhi Garg's answers are partial inputs. Anybody else has any suggestion? Sneha Guna is increasing. Okay. Yes. All these are answers. But the main reason is, this is Kali Yama. And when you link Tantric tradition to Ayurveda, you get a lot of insights. I want to say that this is why Sushruta says, Ekam Shastram Adhiyano Navidyat Shastra Nischay. Of course, we can say so that we must also learn modern science. That is true. Yeah, a body wanting to combat Shita Guna in the night, fine, that's also a good suggestion. Let us put all these things together and I will try to give my understanding of this whole process. When you study other Shastras, you get deeper understanding of Ayurveda also. This is also a good example for that. So, Kali is a frightening goddess, and Kali is indeed very ferocious. And the fact that Kali Yama corresponds to Pittagala seems to be very apt. And what does Kali do? Kali comes and cuts our head, our skull, and holds it in our hand. Now, have you all noticed that if you are awake, after 10, 11, you become very alert and active during midnight? Do you agree? This is called as burning the midnight oil. Because many of us may believe, even I believed at some point of time, that midnight is the best time to work. I spoiled my health by doing that. In spite of the fact that I didn't eat junk food, I would eat rice was a problem. Some of the lifestyle measures I took has really affected me, one of which was not sleeping during Kaliyam. Because it was Pittagala, I would be very active and alert. And then you become so tired that you fall asleep. But this is the time of repair. Kaliyama is the time of repair where the body doesn't want our conscious mind to interfere with us. And Kaliyama begins to set in around 9 p.m. and this corresponds to the time when melatonin secretion increases. All of you have heard of melatonin, the sleep hormone, and it is called also as the dark hormone. And it's very interesting that Kali is also called as the dark one. So the beginning of Kaliyama is corresponding with the beginning of melatonin secretion. And as this happens, we lose our consciousness. We go into sleep. This we can compare with cutting off our head by Kali, because Kali is almost like anesthetizing us. Because a big surgery or repair is going to happen. The pitta that increases in the night, yes, many of you gave the reasons why it is happening. As the body begins to cool down, to preserve the heat, the body generates heat. That is a reason. But the real reason is this is the time the body is rejuvenating. The body is repairing itself. So if you don't sleep during the Kaliyama, then it will have a telling effect on your health. So that is why yogis, after 2 a.m., the Saraswati Yama begins. That is the time of learning and awakening. So if you are leading a yogic life, you can restrict your sleep to just 4 hours. But even yogis sleep or rest during the Kaliyama, because that is the time the body is being completely repaired. The more you allow yourself, the more you surrender to Kali at midnight, to the secretion of melatonin in your system, the more you will, enrich your health. The more you will have ability to fight nutrition. This is what, today we are finding during the COVID epidemic also. Ayurveda lifestyle for preventing immunity. Now we have reached a point where I'm not against vaccination, because Ayurveda was the first system to talk about inoculation. Wherever relevant, we should use it. But we do not know how effective vaccination is. Now it looks like this global vaccination drive has also triggered the development of variants, and herd immunity nowhere seems to be in sight. And there, the Ayurvedic approach to preserving and developing natural immunity is very important. And sleep is a very important component of all this. So why can't, as Ayurveda community, we also engage in sleep studies? There is an American Institute for Sleep Medicine. Why is Ayurveda not focusing on, why don't we have a center which would focus on such aspects and things described in Ayurveda? Vegadharana as a cause of disease, why don't we do research on that? Why don't we bring about? And the more knowledge we create, the more awareness we create, the more we can nurture health intelligence in the people. Do we really want curative medicine to be the only way in which humans can, get back some of the health that is lost? So is this concept clear? I'm not going into the other devatas, but it is very interesting how Ayurveda has given us even a lifestyle, daily life regimen, which is perfectly or mostly in tune with the rhythms of nature, and how you can actually make these simple adaptations and adjustments the world over, and so many diseases might disappear from the face of the earth. This is an area where we definitely need to do novel research. So just to say, a cancer killer cell, TNF, tumor necrosis factor, is actually very active when we are sleeping. So sleeping is very helpful for preventing cancer. So research has shown that people who stayed up until 3 a.m. had 1/3 fewer cells containing TNF the next day. And the effectiveness of those remaining had also greatly reduced. Sleeping more when fighting infectious illness is very important for recovery. Your body can fight infections better if you're sleeping well. And this is a very important point to be borne in mind when we are talking about COVID-19. Everybody is asking which medicine can we give to COVID-19. So many medicines we can give. If we understand what is COVID-19, what is the dosha vikalpa, in my own understanding, COVID, there has been a big debate in Ayurveda whether it is Sankramika Roga or Janapadodvamsaka, whether it is Agandu Vyadhi or Nija Vyadhi, whether it is Jwara or whether it is some other disease like Rajakshma or Kasa or Shwasa. Many people have different opinions. Some of us have understood that it is definitely an Aganduja type of Jwara, but it becomes Nija. And when it becomes Nija, it may just exist in a Purvarupa stage and disappear, or it may become Vatagabha Jwara, or it may transform into a Sanipada Jwara. If it becomes Sanipada Jwara, then it can become very severe. And what determines this course? It is many of these lifestyle factors and how we lead a life, which today people are still not able to understand why COVID is so different in different individuals. Why can't we as an Ayurvedic community, we are fighting and asking why we are not allowed to treat, but still a lot of physicians have been treating. What I am asking is that even if we are not allowed to treat, there are many areas we could work and bring out insights. Some of us are working on those areas, and through Ayurvedic framework of understanding, we could perhaps solve many of the puzzles that COVID is throwing before us. The risk factors, why certain people respond in a particular way, why some people develop post-COVID complications. So many areas where we could actually do research, even if we are not allowed to work I'm not saying that we shouldn't work in that field, but just because we are not allowed to treat as a frontline intervention doesn't mean there are no other areas where we can work on. That is what I wanted to say. So even moderate amounts of sleep deprivation reduces white blood cells. Is even sleep and its implications, even discussed in Ayurveda colleges today with available evidence? I don't think so. I don't know. If there are students in this audience, please let me know. Do you discuss sleep from this biomedical perspective? Do you discuss the concepts in Ayurveda and what knowledge today has been revealed that fits into, and what additional things Ayurveda has to offer? Is this kind of a discussion at all happening? Anybody? If it's happening, I'm really happy. No answer?
We request the participants to take this golden opportunity to have an interactive session.
We have almost spent an hour now.
Not much.
Not much. Not very conceptual, sir, but yet. Yes. Yes, I mean, what I want to see is that our students, our youngsters should get inspired, to take this as future avenues and areas of exploration. That is what I want to point out today. If you want to bring Ayurveda to modern society, we must think in this broad way. There are so many gems of concepts that are waiting to be rediscovered, reinterpreted. Modern medicine has made some ground, in understanding this, but there's still much more ground to be made. and we could become leaders of such a thought revolution. Now, the self-eating or autophagy, which is the principle of Lankana. Today, there are new applications happening, using the Ayurvedic concept of Lankana without even, knowing about it. Are you aware that there is the role of Lankana in chemotherapy or fasting in chemotherapy? Has anybody heard of this? How Lankana might even help chemotherapy. Okay, so there are a group of scientists that have been working in this area. Abhimanyu Abhijit has heard of it. So I want to explain how in Ayurveda, Lankana is a part of many treatments. Before we do certain procedures, protocols, we put them on Lankana and then start the treatment. Now, modern oncologists are also, thinking about the use of fasting in chemotherapy, because when we fast, the cancer cells are hypermetabolic. That is why when we do a PET scan, we can see that the glucose uptake is very high in cancerous cells. And normal cells, when the body goes into fasting, they go into a state of hibernation. So their metabolic activity gets reduced. So if you can put the body into this state where cancer cells are hypermetabolic and normal cells become hypometabolic, and then when you give the chemotherapy, the drug, the uptake of the chemotherapeutic agent is much more marked or pronounced in the cancer cells. So we are able to selectively target the cancer cells and spare the normal cells. If you are in a normal metabolic state, both your healthy cells and the unhealthy cancerous cells are equally targeted by chemotherapy. So you can see the scope of applying Ayurvedic concepts in a modern way. This is what I consider as translational Ayurveda. Understanding the principles, linking it with science where possible, not trying to link it with science where it is not possible. And this is where I want to say, don't reduce Ayurveda to, let us not define Ayurveda to our convenience. Let us leave Ayurveda as it is. Don't try to make Ayurveda purely medicinal. So I want to remove all spirituality from Ayurveda. That kind of trend is there. It is just medicine, yukti. That is not true. Ayurveda embraces everything. On the other hand, we tend to over spiritualize Ayurveda and make it just wellness. That is another trend. This is also harmful. Ayurveda is a combination of all these things. And that is the beauty of Ayurveda. Yukti Vipashraya, Deva Vipashraya, Sattva. Many people would want to say Ayurveda is vegetarian. That is also not true. But it is not, it is very difficult to label Ayurveda as a particular system. So this is very, very important. So now we have covered almost an hour, and I would like to get to some interesting aspects or some slides that I would like to skip. So before I get in the next slide, I would like to, I'm now trying to bring the Ayurvedic concept of a treatment protocol and how we can, develop treatment protocols that are relevant to modern times. So the first part, counseling, diet and lifestyle, I tried to create an overview. This is very fundamental. Without this, don't think about treatment protocols. But once you have understood this very clearly, we need also definite treatment protocols with medicines and medications. And how can we go about with this? This is what I want to discuss next. Does anybody have any questions?
Participants with any questions are requested to post it in the chat box.
Okay, there are no questions. Then I will go to the next slide. So one of the things which I want to point out here is that, when we think about medicines in Ayurveda, it's very, very important that we understand the Ayurvedic framework for developing a treatment protocol. So this is something I have mentioned in many presentations, but because it is still relevant, I would like to use this imagery here again. You can see here two images, and one is the allopathic approach and the other is the Ayurvedic approach. So when we come for specific treatments and treatment decisions and protocols, here is the modern approach. You can see Charaka says that an Ayurveda physician should be like an archer who takes a bow and arrow, takes aim and shoots. But there's a difference in which this whole thing is protocolized in modern medicine and in Ayurveda. In modern medicine, you can see there is the target in front of you, which is fixed, and you're standing, you are the eye of the target is in your line of vision, and you take the arrow and shoot it. It's very simple. This simplicity is very attractive. And this, I think, has influenced many of us. We are also trying to bring similar kind of protocols in Ayurveda, but this is not the way Ayurveda works. Ayurveda works just like what Arjuna is attempting to do in the second picture. You know, here you can see Arjuna is looking down. His target is on top. And what is the target? It is a fish. Not the fish, but the eye of the fish is the target of Arjuna. And that fish is rotating on a wheel. That wheel is continuously rotating. And Arjuna has to look at the reflection of the fish in a bowl of water that is kept below and hit the eye of the fish, which is continuously moving. I find this as a very beautiful analogy of how the Ayurvedic physician has to think. You know, once we have understood the mindset, brought about necessary life changes without stressing the patient. Don't try to make a saint of your patient in one day. You know, they will not change continuously. Even small changes. This is what even modern medical science is discovering. Like a person who has diabetes, or hypertension. Even 10% weight reduction is bringing big changes. So don't frighten them by saying that this is the weight you have to reduce 30 kilos in such a short time. The patient will not do that. Incremental, step by step, even small changes, as Bhagavad Gita says, Swalpam apyasya dharmasya trayate mahato bhayat. Even if you practice these principles, very little, you begin to practice, the changes will come. So you have to lead them step by step. So you don't have to plan very difficult according to the individual, what state of mind they are in. You can advise the minimal, simple steps that they can follow and they can come on. And then, what is this Arjuna's imagery representing? This is the Ayurvedic principle of treatment. Avastha vidhanam eva chikitsa. In Ayurveda, the treatment is according to the avastha. The dosha vikalpa, the avastha of the ama, the sthana of the disease, the desha, the kala. So it is the target of an Ayurvedic physician is like the fish, the moving fish. And the eye of the fish is the samprapti of the disease, the vikatana of which we are attempting to do with our treatment. So Ayurvedic treatment is always like a protocol. There is no one single medicine for a disease. It has to be according to the avastha, and we have to consider according to the patients who come into us, how we can, modify a common treatment algorithm and customize it for the patient. The more customized it is, the more accurate the treatment. I'm still remembering, I don't have any hesitation to repeat it. The first lesson I learned about this Avastha Vidhana Chikitsa was when I was a BAMS student in the final year, when I saw some of my seniors treating a patient. All of them decided he had severe inflammation in his, alimentary tract. And all of them decided that Dadimadi Ghridam is the best medicine. And they asked him to take the medicine. The patient came back, severe condition. It had become very bad. There were still arguments. And the person who suggested Dadimadi Ghridam still was sure that that itself is the correct medicine. Then they debated why then did the patient condition aggravate. So finally, one principle of Ayurvedic, kalpanas was remembered. Ghridam tu pitte bhyadige lihed vadathige pibed. So when pitta is aggravated, when you administer ghrida, it should be only licked, not taken as a whole. Vadathige pibed, when vata is aggravating, you have to swallow it. Leadham nirvavayet pittam. Akramatya anilam pitam. When you drink it, when in larger quantities, it can suppress vata. When you lick it, it can cause the upalepana, nirvapayat, it can cool down pitta. So when this patient was asked to take that medicine again by licking it, there was, remarkable improvement. So this is the specificity of Ayurvedic treatment. And this is the yukti. This is what I would like to highlight here as Arjuna's dilemma. And so for that reason, I think the whole focus of Ayurvedic clinical training has to, orient in this way. Fevers. I realized once that how I was myself, so much influenced by modern formulas. When you have fever, give Amritaristam and Vettumaran, or Amrudotar and Kashayam, or Sudarshana Gudika. It doesn't always work. Unless you have the specific dosha vikalpa and the specific, sthana vikalpa, it is not possible for you to get a very specific action. Can anybody tell what the Ayurvedic texts tell you? How long does it take for our medicine to work? Many of us say Ayurveda is slow acting. What is the Ayurvedic reference? How long does it take for a medicine to work? Provided we have given the diet, lifestyle, counseling, everything. How long does a medicine need to work? Any suggestion? Anybody? I'm going to conclude in the next 10 minutes because I can see people are already leaving and it has been a monologue. If it was for a live audience, I can get more. Anyway, we have spent more than an hour now. And so in the next few minutes, I will conclude. But any? Okay. Okay, Riddhi has given me a personal message, but I will hide it. It's a correct answer. Anybody else want to take a guess? How long does it take for an Ayurvedic medicine to work according to the Ayurvedic textbooks? Anybody? There are still 100 people, which is a big thing for an event like this. At the valedictory session, after the valedictory session, 100 people are engaging is interesting, sure. Yeah, according to medicine, it differs, Mangi, it's true. But what is the general principle? Ayurvedic texts have clearly mentioned this. Immediately, there is another. So let me answer. I'd like to wait for one more response and then I will answer. Everybody is answering directly to me. So no one else is seeing your answers. That's okay. No further answers. See, in Ashtanga Hridayam, Vagbhada has very clearly said, Praya karotya horatra karma anyadabi bheshajam. Within 24 hours, the medicine will show signs whether it is working or not. If you, as a clinician, cannot be sure that the medicine is working after 24 hours, it means you don't know what you are doing. Madanji, you have given an answer which I cannot decode. So yes, definitely medicines have variable times, but there is a general principle that there is no point in waiting for more than 24 hours to know if you have chosen the right medicine or not. I had some such experience in my own home. When my son became sick, we tried fever. I was traveling, tried many our routine things like Sudarshanam and Amritaristam, Vettumaran. The fever was not subsiding. Even with paracetamol, it was not coming down. Then when I came home, I just looked and I found that in the sleep he was talking. So, Jrimbhadi Vaktum Chalat Sapittad, when Vata Pitta is dominating, In Vata Pitta Jwara, that particular Lakshana is mentioned. So immediately I thought Drakshadi Kashaya may be good. Usually I have not seen, most of us, we don't use Drakshadi in fevers. Because when it is a Vata Pitta Jwara, Drakshadi is mentioned in fever. And with just 1 or 2 doses of Drakshadi, the fever came down, which couldn't even be controlled by paracetamol. So there are so many such instances which I have experienced in my own practice. The more specific you are able to be, the more according to the avastha you are, looking at all these parameters and you work like Arjuna, then the result is sometimes instantaneous. Sadhyo jvarama povati. It's not that Ayurvedic medicine is always slow. If our yukti is correct, it can give immediate results. In some diseases, we have to work slowly. So Ayurveda does not say fast or slow. It's where we have to be fast, we have to be fast. Where we have to be slow, we have to be slow. And how long should a treatment protocol, how long should we wait to know whether a treatment protocol works or not? Anybody can tell? Single medicine, it doesn't mean it will cure the disease in 24 hours. It only means you can be sure that the medicine has started working. Within 24 hours, you will get a response from the body, which will confirm that, the medicine, this is the medicine. Yes, now I can continue with that. But if there is a treatment protocol, how long? If it's not a one single medicine, you're giving a protocol, how long can you wait? Anybody? One mandala, that's too long. It's a good suggestion. Saptahena guna labhe. This is why we must read our text very carefully. Saptahena guna labhe kriya manyam prayojet. In 1 week, if you don't get indications that your treatment is working, you can change the treatment. Purvasyam shanta vegayam na kriya sangaro bhavet. Without, conflicting with the treatment that you have already given, creating an unwanted effect. So in Ayurveda, so much thought and care has been given on how to create complex algorithms to customize and create the fastest and the best outcome in a patient. It's beyond the scope of my discussion today. I would like to conclude by giving attention to some more important, concepts. What all we have to do, if we have to bring Ayurveda to the modern world. One is we have to move from molecules to molecular cocktails. We have to go from single herbs to Ayurveda is all about the complex interaction between multiple ingredients. As long as we don't understand how all these work, we still have only 1 or 2 examples to say. When you add turmeric and pepper, curcumin bioavailability enhances by 2000 times. That is why we are adding curcumin and turmeric. But in Ayurveda, much more complex combinations are brought together. And I think that is the area where we have to do new research if Ayurveda has to get accepted. We must understand the logic behind, these complex formulations. And when it comes to research, this is one important aspect I think we have to point out. Clinicians must start participating in the research process. It is not from clinical trials that we are going to get the biggest clues of where Ayurveda is going to be effective and where it will work. Because clinical trials have so many limitations. Even designing a clinical trial, implementing it, so many rules and regulations. The full strength of Ayurveda can never be tested using a clinical trial, and it's extremely expensive. But clinicians in India, we have that legal freedom to practice, and patients are still coming to Ayurveda. If clinicians do not start reporting their treatment outcomes and systematically documenting it, I think we will miss out on a lot that Ayurveda is capable of doing. And in the field of education, I think there was a discussion earlier about the Gurukula system of education. The true development of Ayurveda, and with this I would like to conclude, this is the focus of the translational Ayurveda in the future. Can we create the critical thinking student? What is a true Gurukula is empowering the student. Please remember, the first textbook of Ayurveda is the notes of a student. Which other tradition of medicine has celebrated the notes of a student as the best textbook in the world? In its whole history, Agnivesha, Tantra, is the notes of Agnivesha, not the Atreya, but it was Agnivesha who attained fame and name and fame. So Atreya was centered on empowering the student, the next generation. Generation next, that should be the focus of Ayurvedic education. And that is through questioning. Only through questioning and understanding that new critical thinking has to be brought into Ayurveda education. Let not Gurukula become, Guru worship, Chela, slavery kind of thing that also it degenerated into at one point of time. It is the teacher awakening the mind of the student and transmitting the best from the past into an even more better future. From good to great, that is how the transmission happened, and that spirit we have to bring back. Please remember, in Ayurveda, akshepa, questioning, refuting what is in the text, refuting the teaching and finding alternative answers, that is a method of learning, not just swallowing and believing what is taught. That is why Agnivesha has the audacity to ask Atreya the question, I don't believe in what you say because it is not matching with what I experience. And only when the Ayurveda students begin to ask that question in the right spirit, which is why I've been trying to evoke questions. I just wanted to give some background concepts and then give a response based on actually questions, because that is the Ayurvedic tradition. It is a dialogue. It's a question answer session between, two generations. And that question has to come from a deep quest for knowledge, not out of arrogance. So how to ask a question is also described in our tradition. Apradushtena bhavena prasannena andaratmana shishyena samyak prishtasya gurur buddhi prakashade. Apradushtena bhavena, with no hatred. When you are asking a question, you are not trying to attack the other person. Prasannena andaratmana, it is coming out of curiosity. It is coming out of that quest for knowledge. And when a question comes, when the Ayurveda student of the future starts questioning in this spirit, what Chakrapani has mentioned, and stands up boldly, and when Atreyas and Agniveshas are born, then the Gurukula system will awaken, and then Ayurveda will have a future. And then we will recreate Ayurveda according to the Yuganurupa Sandarbha. Without losing the spirit of the past, we have to create the structure of the future. And the essence has to be taken for us to recreate the Ayurveda for the future. And with these words, I would like to conclude. Thank you very much for the patient listening. We still have around 100 people at this end, and I think I've spent more than an hour and almost an hour and a half, which is what I had promised the organizers. Thank you very much, and I would hand over the floor now to the organizers for the remaining part of the deliberations. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for the wonderful session. And now the session is open for discussion. I request the participants to raise their hand or put their question in the chat box.
Questions are hard to come by in Ayurveda sessions, so I am very much anticipating no questions. Though wishing.
So we have Dr. Devi with a question.
Yes. Yes, Devi.
Dr. Devi, can you please unmute yourself to ask your question?
Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Sir, as a faculty, I would like to ask, when we explain to students, you have told so many concepts like autophagy and all, but so many such things are coming practically, we are not able to tell in class. So whether through a syllabus part or something, this can be included, or we'll get a training update, then this can be better conveyed to the students and we can improve ourselves too.
True. Yeah, I think, we cannot wait for everything to come into the syllabus. This happens through an organic process. So there should be parallel learning programs, which is there in modern medicine. There is a continuous effort to improve the curriculum and bring in new concepts. So what is there in the syllabus may be the ones that get tested and get stable. You cannot blame the syllabus for, the syllabus cannot also become very volatile. Every time they keep changing it. So we must have a balance of some basic concept. The syllabus is going to tell what are the essential, the minimum things that should be taught. But I think as teachers, we must change our mindset. We must try to give the maximum to the student. And if we have that mindset, we will try to bring in new, and there should be a lot of brainstorming, and which is why I really appreciate such platforms. I had some other meetings and I agreed to come because I think this is very important, because through that platforms we can exchange these ideas and try to bring it to the students, because there only I see the hope for the future. Unless we have a critical independent thinking, Agnivesha means somebody who can enter into the fire. Agnim Vishadi. Was I audible? I think I got muted.
Yes, sir, inaudible, sir.
Yeah. So I think if you want to become a teacher, I don't want to call myself a guru. Guru is such a great concept. We are all learners only. So if we want to think of somebody whom we are going to nurture or teach, we must aspire that they should become an Agnivesha. And in that spirit, we don't compromise in giving whatever is possible to them, so that they also, open up. And so CCIM syllabus, all this is necessary for creating the minimum structure, but nothing should stop us from, trying to develop into higher realms. I'm sorry that it's a long answer, but I hope it answers your question.
Yes, sir. Trying to make students also ask question maximum, trying as a discussion class too. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much for giving so many thinking.
Thank you. Thank you for question.
Thank you, sir. So we have a question from Margaret Mora, ma'am.
Yeah. Please.
Thank you very much, sir, for this amazing lecture. I always thought that not being able to get Ayurvedic medicines in South America was a big obstacle for the practice of Ayurveda here. But now it's actually a blessing. We had to learn how to practice with what we had here and simple things. What are you suggesting for further stabilizing Ayurveda in the correct path here?
Yeah, I think, when you look at the future development of Ayurveda, there is one thing that we have to grow the knowledge of Ayurveda. When I went to Kolkata once, I found an institution there named, Institute for the Cultivation of Science. So I was very struck by that word, cultivation of science. This is like growing a crop. Why are they saying Institute for Cultivation of Science? Now then I realized that, changing the mindset that was created at a time when the scientific mindset had to be nurtured. Similarly, we need also within the Ayurvedic community and a core group and in cultivation of Ayurvedic knowledge, has to happen. That is one thing. There we have to follow the traditions. We have to bring genuine knowledge, all that. But on the other hand, we need strategy also for the propagation of Ayurveda. If we go with this pure knowledge, the world will not accept it. There are regulators, there are, so research for me, I'm a researcher, but for me, research is only a strategy. It is a strategy for propagation of Ayurveda. I don't think Ayurveda can be rediscovered with research, but through research, we can remove a lot of obstacles. So we have to do these two things together. And we must start where we are. That is where I said, I'm not saying that not having a medicine is a limitation, but that doesn't mean that we should be, tied down by that. There are so many things that Ayurveda can do, even without medicines. And if we start off with that, the day will not be far away when medicines will come there. I hope that answers your question.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. So what are your thoughts on taking Ayurveda to young school children?
Yeah, I think this is very, very necessary, because modern medicine, modern science, we know about it. Ayurveda, we suddenly hear about it. It comes as a shock treatment in the BAMS course. Till that, we are not aware of it. This is one of the biggest tragedies. I think Riddhi Garg, I've been in touch with her also through other media, and she's aspiring also for Ayurveda. We need such people, youngsters, who come to Ayurveda to inspire to study Ayurveda. I hope you will all agree. When you get admission to modern medicine, thumbs up. When you get admission to Ayurveda, it's actually thumbs down. By the time that thumbs down becomes thumbs up, many years are already gone. Everybody starts Ayurveda with a mood of disappointment in the beginning. And it takes a lot of, even in my own case, when I was a student in Coimbatore, we started early, Krishna Kumarji's vision. We didn't get a chance to study modern medicine, even attempt to get into modern medical schools. So we came specially for Ayurveda. But still, it took extraordinary effort of our teachers to get us enchanted to Ayurveda. So if we can introduce Ayurveda in the schools, and I want to tell you one experience I've had. The CBSE has, the Central Board for Secondary Education, has introduced Knowledge, Traditions and Practices of India, an elective course, which includes 3 chapters on Ayurveda. So at least at 11th and 12th, students have an option to study these things and take a conscious choice whether they want to study Ayurveda or not. And I think if we can bring it at much younger age into the young children, tell them what is Ayurveda, many of them would take a conscious decision and want to study Ayurveda. And if we have people, one of the biggest challenges Ayurveda, many people say funding is not there, resources are not there. In my opinion, the biggest investment that you have to make in Ayurveda is brain investment, intellectual investment. Because modern science developed when there was no infrastructure. Thomas Alva Edison, Einstein, they did not have these kind of modern labs where they spend millions, pay in millions. They sat on the streets because that was brain investment. It is brain investment that creates science. And in Ayurveda, we have been lacking that. We have half-hearted individuals. And bringing Ayurveda to the school, I think, can make a difference. But the material has to be, very carefully crafted. So that was a long answer.
Thank you, sir. Sir, is Ayurveda art and science or only the science?
Oh, this is a modern concept of dividing knowledge into art, science, religion, philosophy. In India, everything, it was one whole. When you read Ashtanga Hridaya Vagbhada, today in IITs, they are trying to bring humanities and science together. Ayurvedic texts already did that. In such beautiful, heart-melting poetry, a profound medical science is described. When you read Vagbhada, both sides of your brain will develop. As a human being, we are both artistic and scientific. And if you want to be a complete human being, both sides of the brain should develop. And I can clearly tell you, if you read classical Ayurveda with the poetry, with the science, it's as rigorous as the most evolved science and as poetic as the most sublime poetry that you will read. Vagbhada has been so poetic, very profound scientific truths he explains in sublime poetry. So that is where art and science blends. But medicine is also, for that, in that matter, an art and science, is it not? I mean, even modern doctors would agree that any field, when it becomes personalized, when it comes through me, through an individual, what we transfer through knowledge, techniques and all that is the science. But what gets absorbed and what expresses through that individual, that becomes an art. The way I practice medicine is always going to be my art. So one Ayurvedic science and so many artistic expressions through every Ayurvedic practitioner. I think that is what we must aspire for.
Thank you, sir, for that wonderful answer. Any more questions from participants?
There is a question, is the parampara can continue? I would like to answer that and maybe we can conclude. What is the meaning of parampara? Param aparam karoti iti parampara. It's up to us to create the parampara. Param means that which is not reachable is made reachable. Param aparam karoti iti parampara. So, how will the parampara continue? If the student at the end of the education feels, I have got nothing, it is, Ayurveda is still unreachable to be. The parampara has already ended. So that is why I think education is the key. This was also the vision of Krishna Kumarji. The student should feel he has received and the teacher should know that he has given. What was not reachable has been made karatala amalaka. That is like an amalaka in your palm. The knowledge of Ayurveda should become tangible to the student. When we do that, you cannot destroy the parampara. It will continue. If you don't do that, the parampara is already lost. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. So I think there are no more questions from participants.
I would like to specially thank Dr. Prasanna Rao sir, Professor Madan Tangaveluji, Margaret, all of them for being here. I feel very honored and humbled.
Okay, sir. So with that, we come to an end of the discussion session, sir. So
I
now,
think there may be many others whom I cannot see. So for all of them, I offer my pranams.
yes, sir. Thank you, sir. So now, to render the vote of thanks, I would like to invite Dr. Tulya Mohandas, Vice Principal, Ayurveda College, Coimbatore. Over to you, ma'am.
Good evening, everyone. The struggle ends when the gratitude begins. With this beautiful thought, I am honored to extend my gratitude to Dr. Ram Manohar sir for delivering such a wonderful session. Thank you, sir, for investing your valuable time with us. I again thank my principal, my colleagues, students, internees, and a team of DIKSHA for making this session a successful one. Thank you, one and all.
Thank you, ma'am. Once again, thank you, sir, for the amazing session and the very interactive one. And thank you all the participants for joining us today. And with that, we come to an end of SAMSIDDHI 2021. Now, for Shanti Mandram, I would like to invite Vinata. Over to you, Vinata. I am sorry, participants. Vinata is facing some network issues.
I think she joined.
Yes, sir. I think she's having some technical issues. One second, sir. Yes, now I would like to invite Vinata for Shanti Mantram.
Asato ma satgamaya tamaso ma jyotirgamaya mrityorma amritam gamaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.
Thank you, Vinata. So with that, we come to this really enlightening journey of SAMSIDDHI 2021. Looking forward to seeing you all in the next year with another SAMSIDDHI. Thank you, participants, speakers, delegates, and all those who have worked behind making the SAMSIDDHI a grand success. The destination would not have been so beautiful if we didn't have such a wonderful team with us. Thank you, Ayurveda College, Coimbatore, as well as the entire team, DIKSHA. Once again, thank you all. Wishing you all have a great evening ahead. Thank you and good night.